It's 7 a.m. Time for the opening drive.
Voted the best sports show in New Mexico
For 5 years running. It's the OD in the AM with Jeff Siembieda and JJ Buck.
Well, on a very emotional day in our country yesterday, I figured, all right, I'm going to get me some, I don't know, got to be some Steph or some Harden or something last night. No, Steph doesn't play every night, as much as it's fun to watch him every night. But you had some NBA last night, and certainly the news that came out of Minneapolis sprinkled throughout your sports world, and we will touch on that about as much as you want to, I think, this morning. Coming into a Wednesday. Good morning to you on a Wednesday filled with interesting baseball last night. Really good pitching from the Dodgers to the Angels to, dare I say, the Rockies in 32-degree weather last night up in Denver. I was watching the game, and by the way, good morning. It's the opening drive, Jeff Siembieda and JJ Buck. We were watching the game, man, and flip it over to the Rockies. And Addie's like, man, that guy just freezes. I enjoy the ball game as much as anybody else. Believe that. Like I have no desire to sit 32 degrees and watch April baseball. What's up?
It was cold.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. You start the season in some places it's chilly. You finish it when it's cold, and in between you get some nice days.
And some miserable days too. Yeah, I mean it's weather. But man, that game in Chicago looked brutal. The game in Colorado looked brutal. John Gray, 7 innings, or into the 7th inning yesterday, pitched really well. C.J. Cron with some big hits, 5 RBI. Look at your Rock Squad beating up on the Astros yesterday. It's a nice little win for you.
Yeah,
it's not you anymore. Come on, man. Alex Bregman was in that game. Bregman, Correa. I mean, it wasn't the entire. Yeah.
I didn't know they came back from the.
I watched Alex hit 2 double plays last night.
Yeah. John Gray's good. He's up in his trade value, so that's going to help him out this year.
So sad. But the Padres lost 6-0. Come on, man. You got to have something to like last night, don't you? Your Padres got beat 6-8. Yeah.
Brew Crew came in, shut him down, 10 strikeouts.
That's right. You don't win every day. Yeah, even the Dodgers lost 2 in a row until Jose threw a gem last night. 7 innings shutout ball. Dodgers beat the Mariners 1-0. All right, lots to do, and we're here for you today. We'll go NBA and figure out your Super League story and what does it mean to move the needle in the PGA. We're going to talk global recruiting as well. Guest list this morning, 7:30 a.m. Richard Pitino due to be with us, Global Men's basketball coach. It became official what you've known for a couple of days now, probably since last, Thursday and Friday, I believe, that Jamal Mashburn Jr. and Jalen House, transfers from Minnesota and Arizona State, respectively, are now officially Lobos. They signed their letters. So Richard Pitino's going to come on and talk about them specifically, about recruiting and about how things are shaping up after, about a month now? I'll look exactly what it was. Since he's been announced as head coach of Global Basketball. So looking forward to that at 7:30 and 8 o'clock. Sebastian Noel from ProView Networks will be with us. We'll talk high school sports as we actually feels like we just started everything, but head down the stretch of basketball and start looking at a state tournament coming up soon.
Yeah, it's getting very crowded given the fact that you got to figure out 3 teams. That's it. Especially if we're talking 5A basketball. 3 at-large teams. You got your 5 district winners, 3 at-large, and there's your state tournament. So the races down the stretch, these districts are tightening up across the board. Some teams are feeling really good with the big lead, and others understand that they're going to have to win out to have a chance to maybe be selected as an at-large. And we have one of those good ones tonight at Trisco Heritage at Rio Rancho on the boys' side that pretty much is Rio Rancho's season right now.
Yeah. It gets down to where it wasn't always like this. There was always just tournaments to get in, 16 teams would get in, and there were plenty of spots. And now, in this COVID-shortened year, nothing's like it used to be. Nothing's like you recall. And they'll play the final day in the pit, but the state tournament's going to look different. Everything's going to look different. So we'll talk with Sebastian. Coming up at 8 o'clock, and I'm looking forward to doing that. Lots of NBA. I guess the NBA news really is the Nets win yesterday. James Harden is back to, as he says, square one. So
a hamstring injury. He came back, re-aggravated his hamstring injury. They said 7 to 10 days, and really, this is big. This is big. The Nets were able to beat the Pelicans last night, which is fine and dandy. But James Harden came. Especially that's 2 in a row, right? They had the Knicks beat 2 days ago. They love to come from ahead, don't they?
And if you look at the starting lineup and who was beating you, like you're getting beat up by Joe Harris and Bruce Bowen and Bruce Brown and whatever Bruces were on the floor for the Nets last night, and you had Zion and you had Brandon Ingram, you had your full squad, and you lose at home.
Yeah, and look, the Nets. I'm sorry, the Pelicans. To your point, that's 2 games in a row that you kind of get out of the New York area and you're going like, we should have won and we're battling here for our playoff lives. And to your point, right? I mean, they've got everybody's there. They shouldn't they be better?
And that was one game. The Knicks. Losing to the Knicks when you have a lead is rough, but the Knicks are actually a good basketball team.
Yeah, but that was free throws and turnovers, and I mean, if you watch the end of that game,
ending.
Zion, and it was Zion a lot. A lot of those were Zion turnovers. Lonzo Ball, actually, a lot of decent passes that Zion couldn't handle. Just sloppy. That was a game where you look back at that one. I mean, if you watch that in the film, I mean, you get sick.
That's the thing with New Orleans is. They don't know how to close games. They can't play any defense. This was a Nets team that you got beat. Kyrie came on late in the contest, but he was just kind of average throughout because they did a really good job. They doubled Kyrie every time they had the ball early, and it was working. And yet, you lose to the Nets. You gave up 134 points, 132 points in that game.
134.
And it was just Kyrie. It was a bad game for New Orleans.
Joe Harris had 24. And look, I like Joe Harris. Joe Harris could flat out shoot. But he had 24. But to your point, I mean, it was Green, Harris, Jordan, Irving, and Shamet were their starters. Blake Griffin had 16 last night. You talked about Brown coming off the bench for 11. I mean, really, they played, 8 guys. But yeah, to your point, Durant out, left thigh contusion, Harden out, right hamstring, and that's fine. I mean, I think to me this was more about the Nets. The game itself is about the Pelicans, but the story is about the Nets. Because moving forward, we've spent plenty of time, and there was a story that came out yesterday that LeBron's a few weeks away for the Lakers. This is, I think everybody, and you and I included, it's Nets and Lakers are on a collision course. That's kind of what you want to see. And if everybody's healthy, and the big word is if, and Anthony Davis is coming back. This is if Harden and Durant aren't there, then pick somebody else out of the East, don't you think?
Yes, this is not a collision course anymore. The Harden stuff is really frustrating because he was playing so well, and he's a guy that he doesn't just milk things when it comes to injury. This year was bad. There's no way to spin it when he got to Brooklyn, but he's a dude that absolutely grinds through it, balls out, and to have this happen again to his hamstring, this is a huge problem because we're in the final few weeks of the regular season. And these guys are going to get on the court and score, but you still have to be able to play at a certain level defensively to be a championship team in this league. And right now, the uncertainty around Brooklyn, you're looking at, it's opened the door for Philadelphia. It's opened the door for Milwaukee. That opportunity is there for one of those teams to take home the Eastern Conference just due to the injuries of the Brooklyn Nets. And now I'm getting more confident in the Lakers, especially as close as Anthony Davis is coming back. And then with LeBron, it's just going to be a little bit conditioning. The dude is insane athlete. We know that. But it looks like he's still been able to do quite a bit, at least the last couple of weeks. I'm even coming back from the ankle injury. So I'm feeling more and more confident as we get closer about the Lakers.
I don't know how much. I don't know that we'll ever know the real answer scientifically. With the short off season because of COVID and trying to get back onto some sort of a schedule, major injuries to LeBron and to Anthony Davis. Kawhi Leonard's now out with a foot injury. KD, Harden. Just look around the league. No team has not been affected by this. Do you attribute it to a short off season? I struggle to because of the load management. Not everybody played late into the season. But I know there's whispers of that. How much credit do you give to that conversation that the short off season has caused the multitude of injuries?
I think there has a little bit to it, because if you look, all these guys weren't being load managed early in the year. Like that wasn't a big thing, because you got to come out and set the stage. Like, you still got to give yourself that cushion in that position then to be able to rest your guys in the season. And we didn't see that this year. What we saw was legit injuries sitting these guys down. Now, at times, our team's a little bit more cautious this year because of the shortened season. I believe so. Maybe they gave the guy an extra few days on the back end to get in. But when you look at it, Western Conference Finals, who was balling there? The Nuggets. What happened? Jamal Murray. He's battled both knees this season. So I think there is a little bit of just the offseason being so different and what you're accustomed to as a professional athlete to get your body ready, and you didn't have that same routine this year.
Is Jokic now your MVP? Right, with Harden out for a while, where do you go? Where are you on MVP? I guess let's hold that, because let's hold that conversation to the other side, because with the injuries now, and that's we're getting now to a conversation where, it was fine to have the conversation midway through, but I think now that we're finding our way towards the end of the season, I think we're getting closer to really who is that, and is it Nikola Jokic, a guy who's really now carrying the Denver Nuggets. 505-246-0610 is how to get into us today. 888-922-0610. Aaron's producing on the video side for ProView Network. You can watch it on our Facebook page, The OD and The AM. And Bobcat will take your calls at 246-0610. Richard Patino due to be with us coming up at the bottom of the hour. Gentlemen, how are you feeling? And I hope it's great. But if you're dealing with things like fatigue, low T, hair loss, listen, it's natural as men grow older. There's nothing to be ashamed of it. But there's also something you can do to battle nature, and that's called New Male. If you're regularly tired, maybe carrying a few extra pounds, you're dealing with erectile dysfunction, may I suggest you call New Male? New Male leads the way, and they have for a long time, in helping men deal with these sorts of issues. Their testosterone replacement utilizes the latest cutting-edge technology, and men all over the country have benefited from it, and they feel better. The number is 505-652-1688, or you can visit them at NewMale. That's NUMALE.com. Fellas, NewMale is convenient. They're right here in Albuquerque. The process is comfortable. It starts with your phone call, goes all the way through the treatment, and NewMale is there to guide you through the process. But here's the best part. The results are real. 505-652-1688. Don't put it off. Take care of you. Visit NewMale.com or call 505-652-1688 and feel better. Drive, Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck, Micah. Josh produces for you today over on the ProView Network side, where you can watch the show worldwide on ProViewNetworks.com or statewide at Comcast Channel 26.
Hey, welcome to the Steve Davis Show.
Good morning and welcome to Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26.
Welcome to The Point with Nick Rich.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 10, America Talking Out.
I'm Pastor Flora Padilla of Mending Broken Hearts.
Welcome to Henry T. Game Face Live, Comcast 26, and Big Bad ProView Network.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Welcome to Local Focus with Sebastian Noel.
Welcome, sports fans. It's that time of the week again. You are watching the Weekly Rundown.
Hey, welcome to Red Menace TV here on ProView Network.
Hello, I'm Steve Davis. You are watching Public Access TV.
Played, top of the 18. Morgan's there, one-on-one with the keeper, and that opens the scoring. Rachel Morgan, the senior, finds the back of the net, and it's 1-0 St. Mike's.
Oliveris for three. Yes.
Well, I like that young man.
Good transition opportunity for the Bulldogs. Deep three's up, and it's good by number 11, Annika Reed.
Rowe gets it, boots it forward. Myers is there. He's able to head it.
Johnson shoots and scores! Hello! What can you say there? Hello! And that is Alexa Duggan, who goes across the body.
There. Gonzalez going to get all the way to the basket here off the window with the extra kiss, and it's good for Gonzalez.
That ball played to the top of the 18. Morgan, nice turn. Morgan, left-footed shot. Morgan! 3-0. And that is a brace for Rachel Morgan.
Richard Pitino, catching up with him on the latest Lobos. Jamal Mashburn Jr., Jalen House. That's coming up at the bottom of the hour, 7:30 this morning. JJ, I went into the break and asked you, is Nikola Jokic now your MVP in the NBA with the injuries with Jamal Murray? I think before Jamal Murray went down, Nikola Jokic was one of your leading candidates anyway. Is he your guy now, or is Steph making a run?
Steph's making a run, but what we're seeing is the conversation's now reasons not to vote for Jokic. There's no reason he shouldn't be the leader right now. Even if those guys were playing a full season, he'd still be in that conversation anyway. I think now he just solidified himself above everyone else. You look at what he's doing across the board: 26.4 points per game, 8.8 assists, 11.1 rebounds. He's shooting a career best 41.9% from three, 56% from the field. So his a true shooting percentage, when you average it out, it's about 65%. Dude's unbelievable, and he is the best player in Denver Nuggets. He's the MVP in the league this season, and I think he's ultimately going to run away with it. Steph is putting on a late push because he's jumping over those other guys that have been on the sideline, Embiid, Giannis, but I think just Jokic has too many games in, and the MVP really is who has had the best season on a good basketball team, and right now that's Jokic.
Nuggets are right now the 4 seed, and it looks like they're going to hold on to the 4 seed. They're 6, 7, 8, 2.5 games clear of the Lakers for the 4 seed. And it looks like Nuggets and Lakers first round, which is just so crazy in some respects. You feel for the Nuggets because they're without Jamal Murray. You figure, okay, matchup, they may be able to get through a round, and they're probably going to get a healthy Laker team in that first round, which is going to be a replay of the Western Conference Finals from a year ago. If Steph continues this streak, and I don't know that there's anything he can't do, because each night you say, all right, he's got to cool off. It's 11 straight north of 30. It's 4 north of 40, 5 north of 40 this month. And it's only the 21st, for crying out loud. If Steph continues this and gets them, I don't know, is there a number that the Warriors have to get to? They're in 9th spot right now. They're 2 games out of the 7th spot. I don't see any way they get out of that play-in bracket tournament, whatever you're calling it. Is Steph not in consideration because the team is in the play-in?
I think
tournament?
He's in consideration, but do you remember what James Harden did in 2019? And so I think he had.
Well, what do you mean? I mean,
he's had 32 games straight of 30 or more points.
Right. Okay.
And so this is awesome what Steph is doing, and Steph is really good. But a 2-week stretch is not going to make Steph crazy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So how long does it go? I mean, he does this for I don't know. I mean, at some point it's got to end, right? And this 3-week stretch has been insanity. The way he scores, but it's fun to watch. I think I'm with you. It's not the whole season, and December counts as much as April theoretically. All right, so who else is in there? I mean, who else are you looking at? Giannis, obviously, because what Giannis is doing. But I just don't see a way Giannis gets it 3 in a row, especially because of what they do in the playoffs. I just think it's in people's minds. And I understand this is a regular season award, and it shouldn't have anything to do with the playoffs. But I think the voters are just going to go, yeah, I'm not doing that 3 times in a row.
And there's MVP fatigue. Absolutely there is in this game. It's
Tommy
you get caught up on one guy, and we might see it back-to-back years, whether it was Westbrook when he went off after everyone left, Oklahoma City. This case, Giannis was like, I don't know who else to give it to. Because it doesn't necessarily go to who we believe is the best player in the game. Like I said, it's a highlight of kind of who's having the best season. And I do think that, though, you look at Jokic's overall body of work, would still have him right there, top 1 or 2, even if Embiid was healthy. Because I think as wild as this year has been, because we're talking about the 2 MVPs, and we're looking at centers in the game right now. And I think Embiid would be the guy that would be pushing Jokic the most. But I think it ultimately comes back down to it. You look at what they're doing overall, and Jokic, his fingers crossed, knock on whatever wood is around, he's been healthy and on the floor, and that's going to give him the edge over the guys that unfortunately have missed some time.
And I'd listen to the Embiid conversation too. Tommy, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. What's up, Tommy?
Hey, what's up, guys? Tommy the Truth back at you. Who's the guy that answers the thing? Did you guys call him Bobcat, something like that?
Yep.
He's funny as crap. I said, hey, good morning, how you doing, and so on and so forth. He says, you'd rather be in bed. And I go, hey, it's always good when you're above ground. That's a good morning to me. But he said he'd rather be in bed. And I said, I want to go back to bed. How about that?
Yeah.
So,
all right. See?
Cool guy, though. Funny. Are you guys talking a little playoffs a little bit, or is it just about the MVP?
No, you can go playoffs.
Well, I think the thing is, I just think the Nets are going to be a fun team to watch during the season, exciting, score a lot of points. But when it gets to the playoffs, you got to play some defense, and they're just brittle and fragile. They can't stay healthy. And guys like Drummond, big guys in the middle, just killed them. And I just don't think they're going to be able to take that strain, not during the playoffs. Maybe if all 3 come back, wow, that would be a miracle. It's a possibility, but I just don't think – I think bigger guys, physical teams are going to get them in the playoffs. I want to see if they can get it done at that time. I love to watch them play all together. They're fun to watch, but against the defensive teams, when they decide to play defense, like the Lakers, so on and so forth, other teams with big men in the middle, I don't see how they're going to solve that. And it's going to be interesting to watch. And we'll see what happens, I just think bigger guys, physical, they're brittle. They're fragile. Durant's just a great player. He can't stay healthy.
He's struggling staying healthy. I think it's a fair point. And Tommy, thanks. First of all, Bobcat needs a nap. You get used to it at some point, Bob. This early morning stuff.
No, I'm used to it. I think it's still the after effects of the second Pfizer shot.
Oh, okay. All right.
I've been wanting a lot more sleep since then.
Yeah, I hear that. That's real. JJ on the defense. I think this is something we've been talking about with the Nets all year long, right? Even before Harden was there, and certainly Harden doesn't make them better defensively. So I'll listen to that conversation. I think that's a legitimate conversation when it comes to the Nets. Who are they going to stop?
It is, and you start. The longer this goes, KD should be right there. Like, you got hit in the thigh, Charlie Horse, whatever it is, he should be on the court soon. The Harden one is the major question mark now, the setback from the hamstring injury. But you're starting to really get that last year LA Clipper vibe with the Brooklyn Nets. It's like, these guys are good, and they should be competing to win the conference. But given everything they've gone through, are they going to be at a point where they're together enough to get it done? And it's not looking in their favor because they're monsters on the court, as Tommy said. We all know that. But still, even in this game where people think it's just all about offense and nothing else, you got to be able to step up and guard at certain times. You got to be able to play big in the middle, even in a game where it's so spread out and all about scoring. Because look at the matchup we saw last year that came out of it. It was the Lakers, who were a big team that had a lot of physical players, played defense on the perimeter, and how the Miami Heat got there. So absolutely the alarm bells are starting to sound with the Brooklyn Nets.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk global basketball. 2 transfers that are creating a little bit of stir around these parts. Going to talk to Richard Pitino, the head basketball coach at UNM. Next, it's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Underneath for Alter, tries the slam and does it. So in 2. Comes the pressure. Hasbury takes it away and sends it in.
There's a top 10 play right there, I can tell you that.
The last-ditch effort for
That ball goal! It's the long goal from Contreras! Holy cow! Luke Contreras absolutely launched that ball. Contreras. And Kumar takes the shot, and that is it! We didn't make it an entire minute into this overtime before Oliver Kumar delivered the winning score. Look at those boys celebrate down there, dogpiling on top of number 6.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number one in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
DCE Systems want to help schools reopen and keep the students, teachers, and staff safe. We can also help every business reopen and keep their employees and customers safe as well. Don't just disinfect. Novalent antimicrobial technology provides ongoing residual protection against bacteria and viruses and is proven to last up to 90 days. That's right, up to 90 days. Call us today at 505-507-7722 or go to DCESystemsInc.com to learn more. DCE Systems are proud supporters of ProView Sports Network and New Mexico Youth Athletics.
Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspet.com.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Here at Legacy, we are here to disciple people by helping them connect with God, grow in relationships, and live generously.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Car Crafters is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
A rogue virus. No job.
Pair of shorts. You know how I feel about recruits a lot. There's been so many hyped recruits over the years. When I see them come down the ramp in a pair of shorts and watch them play, you start to get excited. But these, I understand why Lobo fan is excited about this new time and some new Lobos. It's the opening drive. Jeff Siembieda and JJ Buck, 2 recruits, 2 transfers, both whose dads played in the NBA and had terrific collegiate careers. They are Lobos. Jamal Mashburn Jr. transferred from Minnesota, and Jalen House transferring in from Arizona State. The head basketball coach at the University of New Mexico is Richard Patino, who joins us this morning on the opening drive. Good morning, Richard. How you living?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me.
No, we appreciate the time. Congratulations on these two signees. I know you're out working and putting together a roster, but certainly one young man you're very familiar with, and I know you're excited about both of these. Let's start with Jamal, a guy who played for you last year, a guy that I know you've been familiar with the family for probably your whole life. This is a from every account a heck of a player and a heck of a young man.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, he's a terrific person, and he will be an unbelievable representative of our basketball program and the university. He's all business. I mean, he comes in every single day and puts in the work, and it was one of those deals where when I made the change to come to New Mexico, you don't normally get this, but the loyalty was so strong that it was just kind of like, all right, how do we sign up to go to New Mexico? And it's great. I mean, he was one of the best freshmen in the Big Ten. He was a top 100 recruit when we got him at Minnesota. I think the biggest thing that we did was we didn't take the relationship for granted, to be honest with you. I mean, it just came down to we recruited Jamal as the player, as the person, all the relationships aside, and we felt like he was an important need at Minnesota, and the same here. So, it's one of those cool opportunities where when we talked about in recruiting, came to fruition, and they wanted to be a part of it moving forward.
Richard, how does that work? When you change jobs, and whether it's a player who was at your previous spot or somebody who you might be recruiting, what is right? What is ethical? What is legal? What's the right way to approach something? Because I'm sure there's some sort of trepidation or some sort of unease. Well, is it right? Because or do you just take your whole list and say, hey, who wants to come?
Well, I think it was one of those, he decided he wanted to leave when they decided to make the change. It wasn't something where I had to convince him to do it. I'm never going to do that. I think that they felt moving forward, with the coaching change and a whole new staff and a whole new environment that they wanted something different. So when they decided that, then we recruited him heavily when he put his name in the portal. So it's a good question. I mean, I think recruiting right now is slowly evolving. And with this whole transfer portal deal, I think this, to go along with COVID, has made recruiting very, very tricky because you're not recruiting as many high school kids because you can't go out on the road and see them. So you've got your film from college kids. So the transfer portal deal is pretty crazy right now. But, when you have an opportunity to get a kid that you recruited at a high school, so you know his character, his basketball, commitment level, so to speak, and you coached him, when you have an opportunity to get a guy like that, you got to take him.
He's Richard Pitino, Lobo men's basketball coach, with us on the opening drive.
Richard, how much did the decision that finally came down from the NCAA last week on the transfer waiver, knowing, all right, it is a one-time free transfer for these athletes, help for these student athletes to start making these decisions?
Well, it's rocked college, basketball specifically, because there's over, I think, 1,400 kids' names that are in the transfer portal. And, when you're taking over a new job, you're trying to figure out your own roster. You're trying to stabilize things because whenever any coach, whenever there's a coaching change, some guys are going to leave and other guys are going to be, they're going to evaluate the current situation, see who you're bringing in, and so on. So I think it was a rule that we all felt like was going to happen just because there was too much gray area with the waiver process. We didn't know all the information of why certain guys are getting cleared, some were not. And I was the beneficiary of some at Minnesota where they did get cleared. I had one that we thought would get cleared and did not. So I think it was a good step in the right direction. But I think it's the perfect storm of you've got COVID. These kids are not feeling as attached to the universities as they once were because there's no fans, there's no real student life. We got to get that back so that these guys feel, a level of just commitment and attachment to those universities. So maybe they don't want to transfer as easily. So, I think that the rule going into effect with all this has certainly created some volatility in college basketball, but you have to adapt with it, and it'll correct itself out at some point as well.
And with Richard Pitino, Lobo men's basketball coach, and Richard, on that, you actually have some people around that you can delegate some tasks to, some responsibility. How has that been over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's been nice. I mean, it's so important to get a great staff in place, and I feel like we've done that. I mean, number one, we've got great people who are going to act with integrity, and they're going to represent the university and the basketball program the right way. It's very, very important that they work together. You know, I constantly talk about all the things that we preach to our players about sacrifice and being unselfish and, you know, getting in early, staying late, working your butt off, acting with integrity. We want our staff to be acting the same way. And all the guys that we either hired or kept from the previous regime, we feel like mirror the values of the program. Very, very important in recruiting that we really recruit the Southwest, whether it be Texas, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, Southern California. We've got to live in those areas. So to be able to get a guy like Jalen House is another terrific dynamic guard out of that area, out of that kind of that recruiting footprint that we want to be a part of, and our staff did a terrific job. So it's great. I mean, I think it's important to stabilize everything a little bit by getting the right staff in here and all working together to turn this thing around.
Richard, I know you didn't target Jalen House and Jamal Mashburn Jr. because their dads had great college careers and played in the pros, but we were having a conversation the other day. There's something about, you know, I always talk about a coach's kid. There's something about a coach's kid that he grew up around the game, and there's whatever the gym rat thing to him. What about a guy who's a second-generation player who grew up where his dad was a pro, grew up in the game? Is there something to it, or is it just coincidence in these cases?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably coincidence, to be honest with you. I mean, every situation is 100% different. You know, every player is unique. I mean, sometimes people think that, oh, if your father is famous or, you know, that you're entitled, and I would certainly argue against that as somebody who grew up in the game. I mean, I've worked my butt off to get to this spot, and, you know, with Jalen and Jamal, they're very, very similar in that. You know, we were able to lock in and identify with Jalen once he hit the portal, and get to know him and get to know his family and get to know his dad, who's obviously been in the business, and his mom. And, you know, I mean, he's got a lot of connections to basketball. But the biggest thing that you always want to find is, do they love the game for what it is, or do they love the game for what it can bring you? And Jamal and Jalen, you know, their fathers have had terrific careers, and it's brought them a lot of great things. But those two guys, just like myself, love the game for what it is. And, you know, that's the beauty of both those guys. I mean, Jalen is a fierce, fierce competitor. He will have the pit on their feet just by disrupting the ball defensively. He's an elite-level defender who plays extremely hard and with an unbelievable amount of energy. So I think it's a coincidence more than anything. But, you know, if they do have people around them who understand the game, that can only help more than hurt.
Do you have an idea what recruiting will look like this summer? Will it get back to, and I hate using the word normal, but some semblance thereof? And then at what point do you think you've got your roster? Does this thing go all the way through July and August? You're going to continue to build a roster as you head towards the first day of school?
Yeah, I think it 100% will be volatile through the summer. You know, you're going to bring kids back for summer school in June and July. And, you know, quite frankly, this will be everywhere, but it could be a guy who doesn't love his role and hasn't transferred yet, and all of a sudden he say, you know what, I'm not feeling this. That's why there is a level of concern of, you know, when we get kids back for summer school, well, it's not your traditional college experience where there's students on campus, the town is thriving. I mean, you still got the COVID piece. Right. So, you know, our guys got to understand that, like, hey, this is not the true New Mexico experience. So, you know, every coach is a little bit concerned with that. But yes, I think it's gonna go all the way through the summer. And, you know, you have to be willing to adapt, and you're always recruiting. we will be able to, from my understanding, be back out on the road in June and July, which is great. The whole, doing recruiting visits through Zooms is just it's not the right way for all of us to do this. We got to get kids back on campus safely, get their families to see the town, feel great about it, meet the right people, because, we're all doing it and we got to make it work, but mistakes are going to be made. I mean, they're always going to be made in recruiting, but there needs to be a connection to this state, to the university, and the only way to do that is to get them on campus and get them feeling that. So the NCAA passed a couple rules where I do think we're going to slowly resume back to normal a little bit, which is nice to see. It's something we're looking forward to.
Richard, it sounds like the decision last week on the one-time transfer wasn't anything that caught the coaches by too much of a surprise, but how does that just maybe change things that you're used to doing, maybe the recruiting boards where you have your high school players? Now, do you even keep closer tabs on some guys you're recruiting if they decide to make a different decision? How does it change things for coaches moving forward?
I don't think it changes as much, to be honest, because I think every transfer felt as if they could get a waiver. I just thought the waivers, especially with COVID, kids were getting a lot of waivers passed. The problem has been the high school recruiting. And I've had a lot of transfers. I mean, I started, I believe, 4 transfers last year. But I like getting high school kids in here and building them, and growing in your program. And, I don't love the 1-year rentals and all that stuff. I mean, I want guys who are in this program, they're developing as student athletes. But I also understand that, you got to take what is given to you in this recruiting game, and I wasn't surprised by it. I think one of the reasons why everybody's going so heavy transfers right now is we can't get on the road and go watch high school games, so we're watching this footage of some AAU games and some high school games that are, quite frankly, not as good as watching a game on ESPN or on Synergy or, so I think everybody right now is just trying to minimize as many risks as they could possibly do in recruiting. So like I said before, I think us getting out on the road, in June and July and in the fall will really, really help kind of move this thing back to normal, where we are getting high school kids in here and growing and developing them.
A player's never missed a shot or got beat defensively on his recruiting tape, has he? Ever? Not one time.
I told my staff, I said, guys, you keep sending me these 3-minute videos of YouTube clips. They never miss a shot. Like, I like them all. Like, it's normally you get to watch these guys 7 times during the high school season.
Right.
Then you get to follow them in the spring for AAU programs. Then you watch them in the summer, and then you make a decision. So you're seeing guys in person 30 times. Now you're seeing them over, a couple of clips. It's not, I mean, you have to make the best of it, certainly, but it's not conducive for any of us when making these tough decisions in recruiting. So, like anything else, I mean, we're in the middle of COVID. We're in the middle of a 100-year pandemic, but it'll be great to get somewhat back to normal safely.
It's imperfect. Richard, appreciate the time this morning. Congratulations on these 2. I know you're working on a bunch more, and we'll probably catch up with you here in the next week or so. But thanks for the time this morning. Keep it going.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard Patino, head basketball coach at the University of New Mexico, on the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Datacom is the manufacturer's representative for the states of Arizona and New Mexico. Datacom represents Fuji Electric for uninterruptible power systems and Layer 0 for static switches and power distribution units. High-Tech Power Protection manufactures dynamic rotary UPS systems up to 3.6 megawatts, individual and 100 megawatts by combining multiple units. Call Louis Ruffin today at 505-507-6900 7722 or go to datacom.com to learn more.
Turbo Threads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sports shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. Turbo Threads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for Turbo Threads.
Jackson Compaction wants to help you keep your green. And keep the community green as well. Jackson Compaction has worked hard to maintain the same prices since day one. Always easy and painless trash removal with professional crews and quality service. If it's non-hazardous waste, debris, or trash on your land, leave it to us. At Jackson Compaction, we're dedicated to ensuring the conservation of our environment. You trash it, we smash it. Jackson Compaction, we've earned a reputation for great results.
Next in line.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
At New Mexico Highlands University, you're more than a student, you're family. Whether you're taking courses in Las Vegas, Santa Fe, Rio Rancho, Albuquerque, or Farmington, you'll get that one-on-one attention to inspire you to reach your goals. Let New Mexico Highlands help take your passion and accelerate it into a career and fulfilling life path. Find out why New Mexico Highlands is the right choice for you. Log on to NewMexicoHighlands.com today.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, backed by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Plan your adventure at WNMU.edu.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Hayes. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Tucson, Arizona.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Greg Martinez. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Hi, I'm Marilena Fernandez. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
The New Mexico Army National Guard is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics.
Calling all football players, are you looking to develop your skills this season? It's never too late or too early to put in the work. Coach Carl Barrere and the Air Barrere program at 8 Grady's Performance Center provide comprehensive position training for aspiring football players at all levels. Whether you're looking to increase your speed, gain strength, or hone your skill, we train all positions with a team of experienced coaches who know what it takes to succeed at all levels from Yaffle to college. Check us out at 8gradys.com to learn more and sign up for training today.
Drive, Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck, Micah, Josh produces for you today over on the ProView Network side, where you can watch the show worldwide on ProViewNetworks.com or statewide at Comcast Channel 26.
Hey, welcome to the Steve Davis Show.
Good morning and welcome to Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26.
Welcome to The Point with Mick Rich.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 10, America Talking Out.
I'm Pastor Flora Padilla of Mending Broken Hearts.
Welcome to Henry T. Game Face Live, Comcast 26.
Patino, there was a lot in there. He was talking about the recruiting process, and I've asked. I don't know if I've ever asked the question, and I've always wondered, what is protocol when a coach leaves one place and gets a new job? Can he ethically, morally, legally, rightfully recruit all of his guys to go with him, or is it kind of, well, you're signed with the university? And once Jamal Mashburn Jr. opted, Richard said, his decision to get into the transfer portal, well, then he's fair game for everybody, and I totally understand that. I wonder, how those conversations go when it's done. You've got these relationships with these players, and in this case, you didn't just go take the job at New Mexico. You were released at Minnesota, and I got to believe it's different, right? If you just say, "Hey guys, I'm out. Sorry, boy, it's life. Deal with it. See ya. I'm going here, and I'm making more money," as opposed to, "Hey fellas, they've made a decision. I'm out. Good luck." What's the right way to do it? I always wondered that, and it was an interesting answer.
I think it's probably a given. These coaches understand that these players are going to leave or might follow their new coach. I just saw Marco Anthony transfer from Virginia at Utah State. Where did he go? He went to Utah. He's following Craig Smith. So I think it's more of a given in the coaching ranks. They understand that some of these guys might follow their coach, and I don't necessarily think it's a frustrating thing. I think they understand it from the student-athlete's perspective and probably expect it with some of the guys.
Well, I think another thing he said is so glaringly true, and I think it's been becoming more true, but certainly during the pandemic, is, these kids, these student-athletes are not tied to the university as they once were. They don't have this emotional bond, and especially because of COVID, where there has been no campus life, there has been no university life, you haven't been going to classes and been in town and been at parties and just bouncing around and getting that feel. And so I'm sure it's a lot easier. Look, there's 1,400 plus players in the transfer portal. I'm sure it's a hell of a lot easier to say, you know what, I don't like it here. The coach is gone. Deuces. Like, I'm gonna go where there's some familiarity, right? If you're at Minnesota and you haven't been on campus, what's familiar about it, right? What's familiar? Coach is gone. At some point you're gonna go back to school, but I mean, it's weird. You've been doing online classes. I think all that resonates. And then he said, the recruiting thing is always been inexact. You and I have had this conversation for 100 years, and we've only been doing this show for 12 and a half. But the inexact piece of recruiting, just recruiting by video now, where you can't go and meet a young man and watch him in person.
And it's no surprise that you're going to take the known collegiate commodity, a dude that's produced, over a guy that might be good in 2 or 3 years right now.
I can't agree more, and I understand it. It's a bummer for those high school kids. But you hope, at some point they're gonna get their chance. All right, we'll talk more about that coming up in a little bit. When we come back, we'll talk high school sports. Sebastian Noel from ProView Networks is going to join us on ProView Networks, where Aaron is playing the air drums. I think Bobcat might be as well. Sebastian Noel next. We'll talk some high school sports on the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Welcome to Local Focus with Sebastian Noel.
Welcome, sports fans. It's that time of the week again. You are watching the Weekly Rundown.
Hey, welcome to Red Menace TV here on ProView Network.
Hello, I'm Steve Davis. You are watching Public Access TV.
Played, top of the 18. Morgan's there, one-on-one with the keeper, and that opens the scoring. Rachel Morgan, the senior, finds the back of the net, and it's 1-0 St. Mike's.
Oliveras for 3. Yes.
Well, I like that young man.
Good transition opportunity for the Bulldogs. Deep three's up, and it's good by number 11, Annika Reed.
Rowe gets it, boots it forward. Myers is there. She's able to head it, and she controls. Dugan's there. She's at the center. She gets across, shoots, and scores! Hello! What can you say there? Hello! And that is Alexa Duggan, who goes across the body.
There. Gonzalez going to get all the way to the basket here off the window with the extra kiss, and it's good for Gonzalez.
How about play to the top of the 18? Morgan. Nice turn. Morgan, left-footed shot. Morgan! 3-0. And that is a brace for Rachel Morgan, the senior from St. Michael's.
Underneath for Alter, tries the slam and does it. So in 2. Here comes the pressure. Hasbury takes it away and sends it in.
Well, there's a top 10 play right there, I can tell you that.
The last-ditch effort for the Wildcats. They are cornered right now.
That ball goal! It's the long goal from Contreras! Holy cow! Luke Contreras absolutely launched that ball. Contreras. And Kumar takes the shot, and that is it! We didn't make it an entire minute into this overtime before Oliver Kumar delivered the winning score. Look at those boys celebrate down there, dogpiling on top of number 6.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number 1 in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
DCS now voted the best sports show in New Mexico for 5 years running. This is the opening drive with two-time New Mexico Sportscaster of the Year, Jeff Siembieda, and JJ Buck.
Well, high school sports, I know you're trying to keep track of schedules and nothing feels right, nothing feels the same, and that's because, well, nothing is the same. The fall season was in, March, and it was about a month, and basketball is now wrapping up, and we're going to start looking at whatever spring sports look like, and it's insanity. It's the opening drive, Jeff Siembieda and JJ Buck. Get your subscription and watch ProView Networks, because what they're doing over there, and JJ, we saw this coming, like all during the pandemic. We said if we have sports, boy, are we gonna, everything's gonna be just boom, jammed together, and it's going to have a convergence, and we're going to have some sort of sports solstice where everything is running together. And ProView's doing like 70 games a week, and doing an insane job. And one of the voices you hear most prominently, you hear a lot of great voices, JJ Buck and Ed Nunez. But Sebastian Noel is going to join us on a weekly basis from ProView Networks, and I'm really glad to have Sebastian as part of the show. What's up, man? How you living?
Good, man. How are you guys? Yeah, this has been a crazy season so far.
It's not. Has there been is there one thing that stands out for you? The fall sports were like, it was a flash. And my kid runs cross country, and it was like it was her first meet, and all of a sudden we're at the state meet, and it was over. Things go so quickly. Is there been a couple of highlights so far that have just jumped out to you?
Well, I mean, one thing that jumped out at me last night, I was doing a game that Hope Christian was playing in, and I paused and I said, man, that Coach Murphy's not going to be in the playoffs this year. They're not playing for anything tonight, and I've never remembered that happening ever.
Yeah. I think that's crazy. And then I was talking to Steve Davis yesterday about the format for the state tournament, and JJ, the goal is let's get to the pit. Well, from what I understand, it's just going to be the final day, right? Is in the pit because of COVID, and parents aren't going to be allowed in, and it's just everything's kind of nuts.
Yeah, I mean, the home team, the higher seed will host until the championship game, and if we don't move up a level by the time that happens, then there wouldn't be fans in attendance.
It's such a bummer, and that's where ProView has come in. And I know a lot of people have been getting their visibility to be able to watch their kids, especially for the indoor sports, through ProView Networks. Sebastian Noel from ProView Networks is with us on the opening drive.
Now, Sebastian, before we dive into kind of what we're seeing in basketball season, when you look at football, how it played out, some of the changes that we've seen, what are some of your main takeaways just from getting some of these teams on the field, even if it was just for a month?
Well, I think in football, I think Cleveland got robbed of an opportunity of having a perfect season. I think that might be the best group he's had there at Cleveland, and everyone knew that was the best team in the state. I don't know if there was a close second, so I know they would have been chasing perfection, and they didn't have a chance to do that in a regular length season.
Was the games that we saw at University Stadium, I know it was a bit of a trial run, but do you think that is a step in finally potentially getting a championship Saturday and or 2 days at that stadium?
I've flipped on that a little bit. I used to be a big centralized championship guy, but having had a chance to go to Artesia to call a championship, go to Eunice to call a championship, I am not in favor of a centralized. I mean,
really?
Yeah, just the small communities, they just care more. I hate to say it, but so I don't know. I don't know if that's and there's going to be a lot of hurdles to clear. Let's just put it that way. A lot of NMA board members come from the South, where football is king. One of the preeminent voices of high school sports, James Yotis, dead against it. He's going to be stumping hard against it. Like, there's hurdles.
Would they not care as much if it was at University Stadium and being played in a big stadium and it was made to be a big deal?
Well, I mean, it certainly is a big deal, and I went to a couple of those games, but just that small town atmosphere of hosting in Eunice where the whole town's shut down. Artesia, I mean, you can't even say the word centralized championship in Artesia. They'll run you out of town. I mean, I'm okay with it, Jeff. I'm okay either way, but I'm just saying there's a lot of hurdles in the way.
Yeah, no, I know there are, and I'm a big proponent of it. I think everybody, and really when it gets down to it, it's for the kids, and I think ultimately the kids would benefit with that experience, being able to play in an atmosphere like that. You just talked about Artesia, Jeremy Maupin going from Los Lunas back home. I don't think that surprised anybody this week. It happened, boom, he resigned in the morning and took the job, I don't know, in the morning. It felt like that was where that was going, and zero surprise. And for probably the most tradition-rich program in the state, that's a big deal for that program and that community.
Yeah, I mean, he's a hometown boy there, and there's no doubt that he was going to go back. I think what really helped him make that decision was, to be honest, was the way the school board kind of shut down his season there in Los Lunas. I know he had talked to a couple, he had mentioned that, hey, maybe football's just not a high enough priority where I'm at right now. So his opportunity to go home was too strong. He leaves behind, though. That's a great job that's going to be open there in Los Lunas. So that imagine they get some great candidates. Just the last note, Jeff, on centralized championships.
Yeah.
I think, if Coach Gonzalez gets this thing rolling here, we're having a whole nother conversation in 3 or 4 years. If all of a sudden that stadium's full for Lobo games, that momentum would shift.
I think there's something to it, and having Danny behind that. Look, I've been behind it for 25 years since I've been here. I've seen what it does for the student athletes and just the size of the event, and I understand the tradition here. Let me ask you, since you brought it up, Sebastian Noel's with us from ProView Network. Danny Gonzalez being the head coach and the reemphasis on in-state athletes, and then this year being what it was. Can you, in your conversations with coaches and you've been around the game, what has the difference been since Rocky Long, Danny Gonzalez, Jason Lensmeyer have been back at UNM? Just the feeling around the high school, the in-state athlete with an opportunity to go play college football.
Oh, it's night and day, Jeff. I mean, I would say there was almost a contempt, if not just a total disconnect with the last regime, and it's just night and day. I mean, kids want to be Lobos. I went down to Clovis to do an interview with a couple of their kids. Kids just want to be Lobos. That wasn't the case before, and coaches feel like the communication lines are always open. It's night and day.
Sebastian, let's jump to some hoops because that's where we're at, looking at the end of the season and the challenges that are ahead. Let's start with just 5A boys because there's, I know, a big one tonight at Trisco Heritage in Rio Rancho, so the Jaguars trying to keep pace behind Cleveland in the district. Who are some of the at-large teams right now on that bubble?
I think that's a great question, JJ. I was going to start with Pecos, so if Grady gets upset, that's not my fault. But I think Friday night's Sandia-La Cueva game, that's going to be huge because if Sandia were to win that game, and they could go on to win that district, I think that district gets two teams. They would get Sandia and La Cueva. However, if La Cueva wins that district and Sandia doesn't ever beat La Cueva, then I think Hobbs gets in ahead of Sandia. If La Cueva wins that district the way we think right now, only one team gets in. I think if that district flips, they get two. I still think Sandia has a chance to get in, and if they do get in, they're a matchup nightmare. So that's a big game there. I think that district you were talking about, pretty much, I mean, Rio Rancho has to win out to have a chance. That's a tough district to win out in. So I think that district's kind of set with Cleveland being the winner and Trisco being the at-large.
Yeah, and you look at this, it's changed because I just saw, too, I guess Hobbs lost to Carlsbad last night.
Yeah, that's the one to watch. Yeah. That district, the runner-up there, that's a three-way tie. So if Hobbs loses another game and finishes behind those other teams, then again that could benefit Sandia or La Cueva, whoever's the runner-up there. So that's going to be the district to watch. If Hobbs does not finish second in that district, I don't think that district gets a second team.
It's pretty intriguing having these conversations about, 8 teams getting in as opposed to 16. I'm not going to necessarily, bang the drum for this, but it sure makes these games a hell of a lot more interesting and a lot more meaningful as you come down the stretch than when there's 16 teams and they're all getting into the state tournament, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it sure does. There was a game last night, Del Norte at Bernalillo. The Knights, my Knights, I'm a Knight graduate, they took first place, away from Bernalillo via the tiebreaker. That's 4A, JJ and Jeff. That's 6 districts. So only 2 at larges out of 4A.
Yeah, it makes it tight. Hey, Sebastian, we were just talking to Richard Patino about recruiting. And looking at and Sebastian Noel from ProView Networks is with us. We were talking about the transfer portal and how colleges are so focused on that. There's 1,400 players in the transfer portal, and the kids who are affected are the high school seniors. Playing this odd season, this shortened season, this delayed season, have you seen how it's affected any Division I players, any Division II players, college, high school players who want to play college basketball, kids that both juniors and seniors this year?
Well, I think it affects them as a whole, as a group, right? New Mexico kids are always kind of a little at a disadvantage anyway. This is an under-recruited area. But, Coach Patino said it, with the transfer portal and only seeing YouTube clips, high school kids are the ones that are adversely affected by that. And, yeah, Cleveland comes to mind again. They have some kids that have gotten out of state, in the past. Amir Muhammad went to Lubbock Christian. I think he could have played at a D1 level. They have 2 kids this year. Trey Watson obviously is going to play D1 football, but they have a Nate Asbury there who's probably a D1 athlete. And is he going to get that chance, or is he going to have to go, a circuitous JUCO route? I don't know.
Yeah, it's so hard for all of them as we go through just what's insanity. in high school athletics.
All right, Sebastian, we'll let you get in the Pecos talk so we don't get an upset Grady or any of the small school fans out there. What'd you have to say on that squad?
Hey, I'm just helping you guys out. You're gonna feel those angry phone calls if we don't talk Pecos. Yeah, they have to win out. I mean, they cannot lose a game. If they lose a game to either Texaco or Santa Rosa, they're on the outside looking in.
Need a big finish by the Pecos Panthers. All right, you got the big one in, what is it, 5-1A today. What should we be watching on ProView Networks? What's the must-see TV?
Oh, I think you got a bunch of good ones today. JJ's doing, I think, that Atrisco game, right? I mean, that's Rio Rancho has to win out, so that's a big one. I get my first look at Albuquerque High. They're playing Capital. Capital's in second place in that district. Albuquerque High is in third place. We got Los Lunas and Santa Fe, the two first-place teams, also playing. So that district might be decided by the end of the week if there's anything funky that happens. Albuquerque High did upset Santa Fe last week, so they're still in it.
All right, and plug your show, too, because you've had some really good interviews and really you've been all over the state, having good conversations and telling stories of student-athletes all over the state.
Yeah, it comes on Monday nights at 10, Local Focus with Sebastian Noel. Try to sit down with these guys and get a little bit more in-depth. Sometimes we have some wacky fun. We throw footballs through the upstairs window. You know, nice. We kind of go all over the place. But, yeah, that's just try to let the audience get to know these players on a more in-depth level. So that's Monday at 10, or you can just check it out on YouTube. That's the easiest way.
Yeah, all right, that's good stuff. Sebastian's going to be with us every Wednesday, typically at 9 o'clock. He's got some business to take care of today, so we did it a little earlier. Hey, man, appreciate the insight. I enjoyed this and looking forward to having you as part of the show on a regular basis. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us today. Have a good call tonight.
Reopen and keep the students.
Thanks. I'll see you guys next week.
Be well. Sebastian Noel from ProView Networks. He does a heck of a job. He's a good play-by-play voice, and the interviews that he does, his show is really good. It's just what they're doing over at ProView. Spectacular content, and in a time where in some ways you can't get to the games, this is it's the only way to get it. So that's good stuff.
Yeah, this, as you said, it's been a challenge this year for everyone, and it's a different feeling down the stretch. When you look at district champs, regular season, they for sure get in. The bubble fluctuating. Is it 2 teams, 3 teams, just depending on where you're at. And it's a challenge, but it definitely adds an element of intrigue to this shortened season.
All right. I got a Grady email already in response. I got a bunch of responses from you over the last 2 conversations we've just had. It's yours the rest of the way. 505-246-0610. Talk to Bobcat there. Aaron is producing on the video side. You can watch that on our Facebook page, the OD and the AM. It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
DCE Systems want to help schools reopen and keep the students, teachers, and staff safe. We can also help every business reopen and keep their employees and customers safe as well. Don't just disinfect. Novalent antimicrobial technology provides ongoing residual protection against bacteria and viruses and is proven to last up to 90 days. That's right, up to 90 days. Call us today at 505-507-7722 or go to DCESystemsInc.com to learn more. DCE Systems are proud supporters of ProView Sports Network and New Mexico Youth Athletics.
Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspets.com.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Here at Legacy, we are here to disciple people by helping them connect with God, grow in relationships, and live generously.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Car Crafters is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
A rogue virus, no jobs, sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Datacom is the manufacturer's representative for the states of Arizona and New Mexico. Datacom represents Fuji Electric for uninterruptible power systems and Layer 0 for static switches and power distribution units. High-Tech Power Protection manufactures dynamic rotary UPS systems up to 3.6 megawatts, individual and 100 megawatts by combining multiple units. Call Louis Ruffin today at 505-507-7722 or go to datacom.com to learn more.
JJ Buck.
My day starts right.
95.9 FM and AM 610. The Sports Animal.
All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that. We're going to give that to you every Wednesday through the rest of the high school athletic season, which I think runs through part of the summer after school starts. But appreciate Sebastian and appreciate everything that ProView is doing. I think the partnership that this show's got in our radio station with ProView Networks has been terrific. And I know so many of you have enjoyed what ProView's doing, whether you've got a child who plays high school athletics and you haven't been able to see, or you've got family that's in California, Minnesota, Siberia, wherever they got the internet, they're able to watch the games. And Pro's putting on like 40, 50, 60, 70 games a week sometimes. And what they're doing is insanity. So appreciate Sebastian. He'll be with us every Wednesday to go over that. You got a little response. Grady's in, and he says, oh, well. And just like that, Jerry Paul moves up the rankings of on-air, quote, experts, end quote. Come on, Sebastian. Play the football championships at University Stadium. He's against that. I understand him and James Yotis are on the other side of that. I will stay where I am on that. I think it would be a wonderful thing. But JJ Grady's not very happy with Sebastian for wanting to play the football championship still on site, not centralize it. I think at some point, I think his point is right now with Danny, championing, if that's the right word, and being from here, I get the Eunice thing. I get it, and you were there. And how often do you get to do that? Like Eunice, once every 4 years ish, right? Maybe 2 years in a row if it goes the right way. But it's not. I don't know. I just, and I get the Artesia piece, but I always think a championship game in football, it feels like it should be a neutral site game first of all. A big neutral site, like not just take them to random high school, but I understand what football means in Artesia. Are we doing it for the town? Are we doing it for the kids? I always ask this question: who are we doing it for? And I got to believe the kids would relish that experience. The sport would grow. The sport would benefit overall. The student athlete would benefit overall. I get it. The Dairy Queen and Artesia would not. If they're banking on one day every 4 years to sell out and
because it's not every year, right?
Right.
Even the rules that the
alternating,
NMA has.
Yes.
So you can't have it every year, even if it is every other year. I understand it's a lot, and to his point, when you're in it, like you're in one of those cities, you're gonna have a different feeling. You're gonna make me go to Albuquerque? Nah, you can come here. But what stands out to me is they weren't playing championship games a couple weekends ago, and yet still the post-game quotes from those kids and coaches. They're like, wow, this was fun. And there was nowhere near the amount of people that would be there at a championship game. The atmosphere would be wild. It would be legit. And it would showcase high school football finally on a level that it deserves. And high school football, when it comes to championships, does not get the attention it deserves. Because you can't watch all the games. Because there's games kicking off at the same time.
every quarter of the state.
Yeah. You're going to read the coverage of the game.
Yep.
You're going to hear whoever was calling the game talk about it. But as a high school sports fan, you can't enjoy these other things. You can't see them because it's not highlighted. And if this is big city arrogance, so be it. Like, look in football states. Texas does it. They're not concerned about the small towns. They show up. You go to these states that it's football, and they're understanding how to highlight and make their biggest game part of the most important day.
You do it the right way, and you celebrate football, make it a gigantic deal, and you do it. And I've been to some of these. I haven't been to Eunice for one of these, but I've been to some of these places for those atmospheres. And Sebastian's not wrong in regards to what the atmosphere is like. He's right, and they would be that way for the semifinal. And I get it, Jeff. Well, it's different. It's the championship. Yes, and so there's sacrifices. Change is really hard. To your point on the student athletes' comments, responses to playing at University Stadium, and it wasn't a championship game, I think that's indicative of what it would be, and exponentially more if you were playing for a championship. I've also been in the situations where these kids play in one of these big, and I know I've referred to the King Bowl countless times just because I covered it so many times and was a part of it. All of those small schools, and I worked in a small market in Washington. I didn't work in Seattle. I worked in Yakima. I worked in Tri-Cities. But watching the two sheets, population 400, or watching Kiona Benton, or even Kennewick, Richland, Eisenhower from Yakima, the bigger schools from that side of the state, go over and play in that setting. It was the goal, and it was huge. A small town like Toppenish, which would be like an Artesia. Last guy out, turn out the lights, and head over for this tournament. It's been pointed out countless times how the basketball tournament is at the Pit, and then I've been told it's a basketball state, it's not a football state. Well, that's because that's what we've allowed it to be. Like the experience. Who are we doing it for? The experience these young men and women have in the Pit every year. They can have. Well, Jeff, the Pit's not the same. Well, I get it. But again, who's this for? Is it for the guy who runs Dairy Queen in Eunice, or is it for the kid who is the starting left guard at Eunice and who's going to remember this the rest of the life?
Because I'm watching these small schools travel for not Pitt games when it comes to basketball, for playing at Bernalillo, for playing at the Star Center, but you're telling me you can still have your playoffs at home if you earn it up until the championship game.
Right.
Still sounds like a pretty good deal.
I know. Rudy, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Hi, Rudy.
Hey, let's go back and remake the movie Hoosiers, okay?
Yeah.
And those kids, instead of playing in Indianapolis, get to play at Hickory High School for the state championship. How about that?
How's that work for you? No, you're right.
See, what's happened in this state over the years is a few selfish people have decided that they want the game for football to be different than the game of basketball in this state. There's not a kid that ever grew up in New Mexico that didn't dream of playing high school basketball in the Pit with their buddies. Not one kid. They all grew up dreaming of coming to Albuquerque and hoisting a blue trophy on the Pit floor. Why is it different in football? Because for years, people up north didn't care. Well, people do care now. And I think Danny is being a leader on this. And I think just that little experiment showed. There wasn't one kid. I went over there, and I watched the looks on those kids' faces when they were walking in the stadium.
Yeah.
And it's just like the movie Hoosiers.
Let me tell you something.
Takes them out there and says, if you measure that field, it's 100 yards by 52 yards.
Hey, can I ask you this? And I'll ask both of you this. Rudy, JJ, is it saying too much? And maybe it is. Maybe this is too big of a statement, but I'm not sure it is. The fact that we haven't emphasized high school football to the point where we make a big deal about the championships. And you're going to say, Jeff, we make a big deal about it in Eunice. That's great. But what does that mean for the rest of the state? Well, we make a big deal in Lawrenceburg when it's there. Oh, okay. In Artesia, it's huge. I feel that it's stunted the growth of football in this state.
I agree.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. And it's the reason why football has not captured the imagination of people in the state in the same manner that basketball has. When you put all your championships in one town one city. It's a focal point. Everything's focused on that. Imagine Texas high school football not playing at the Jerry Dome for the finals.
Or wherever. It used to be at Texas Stadium. Yeah.
For years.
And it's the goal of all those kids, whether you go to the biggest high school in Dallas or the smallest school in West Texas. The goal is to get and play in that big venue, to play, to see the replay on the video board, to do those things. That's the goal. And I just, again, I get the argument that Yotis and Sebastian make about the small towns and the atmosphere, and I think that's wonderful. Then let's create that atmosphere in a big setting. And you know what? It might not happen in year one, but it will evolve. And I firmly believe if you ask the student athletes, the football players who we tell each other this is who it's about, where would you rather play a championship game? Would you rather play it at Santa Rosa High School or Piedra Vista High School or Eunice High School? Or would you rather play it at University Stadium? I'm going to guess conservatively 90 to 92% of the student athletes say they want to play in the big on the big stage.
Absolutely. One more thought, just really praying for Teton Saltis in the NFL draft. I think he could be a sleeper, and I think he could go maybe third round, fourth round. That would be awesome.
Might be a little high, but I think I'd love to see it happen. All right, Rudy, good to hear you.
You too.
Thanks, my friend.
Thanks for the time.
Look, I know where this conversation is going to go, and I'm down with it, and I'm fine with it. I get the other side, and I get this is how we've always done it. But just because that's how we've always done it doesn't mean it can't be done better. And I'm not telling you it's bad. I'm just telling you I think, and a lot of other people think, it can be better. And there's tradition. Artesia's a big deal. I'm not downplaying Artesia tradition. I'm not. But this could be a pretty big deal for our state and for football and for these student athletes. So
it's time to not only take control of what's a big deal, but take control of your fitness. And what if I told you that you can find all you need? We're talking strength training, cardio work, all in one place, and it will only cost you 45 minutes. F45 Training is a gym that brings it all together with high-intensity group workouts that are fast, fun, and results-driven. You can check them out at f45training.com. Download the F45 app to see the schedule of classes. You can sign up for your 7-day free trial as well and get going. With classes 7 days a week, you'll find one that works for you. F45 has helped me take my fitness health seriously once again. The atmosphere is great. The workouts, it's a new challenge every day to keep your mind and body moving forward. The trainers, they're a lot of fun to help motivate and modify, if needed, any of the exercises. The gym is located at 5920 Holly Northeast, so it's really good access from wherever you're coming from in town. For me, on the west side, of course, depends on the time, but it's about a 15-minute drive. I'm at the gym, get my workout in. I'm feeling good. You can manage your time and still get a great workout in as our lives are busy. All of us have something to do, but don't neglect your health, especially your fitness, making yourself a better version of you, and it's going to help you throughout your everyday life. So don't wait any longer. Create your own gym identity at F45. Team training, life-changing. I'll see you at F45.
You have better things.
Turbo Threads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sport shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. Turbo Threads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for Turbo Threads.
Jackson Compaction wants to help you keep your green. And keep the community green as well. Jackson Compaction has worked hard to maintain the same prices since day one. Always easy and painless trash removal with professional crews and quality service. If it's non-hazardous waste, debris, or trash on your land, Leave it to us. At Jackson Compaction, we're dedicated to ensuring the conservation of our environment. You trash it, we smash it. Jackson Compaction, we've earned a reputation for great results.
Next in line.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
At New Mexico Highlands University, you're more than a student, you're family. Whether you're taking courses in Las Vegas, Santa Fe, Rio Rancho, Albuquerque, or Farmington, you'll get that one-on-one attention to inspire you to reach your goals. Let New Mexico Highlands help take your passion and accelerate it into a career and fulfilling life path. Find out why New Mexico Highlands is the right choice for you. Log on to newmexicohighlands.com today.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Plan your adventure at WNMU.edu.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Hayes. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Tucson, Arizona.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Greg Martinez. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Hi, I'm Marilena Fernandez. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
The New Mexico Army National Guard is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics.
Calling all football players, are you looking to develop your skills this season? It's never too late or too early to put in the work. Coach Carl Barrere and the Air Barrere program at 8 Grady's Performance Center provide comprehensive position training for aspiring football players at all levels. Whether you're looking to increase your speed, gain strength, or hone your skill, we train all positions with a team of experienced coaches who know what it takes to succeed at all levels from YAFL to college. Check us out at 8gradys.com to learn more and sign up for training today.
Drive, Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck. Mike, Josh produces for you today over on the ProView Network side, where you can watch the show worldwide on ProViewNetworks.com or statewide at Comcast Channel 26.
Hey, welcome to the Steve Davis Show.
Good morning. Welcome to Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26.
Welcome to The Point with Nick Rich.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 10, America Talking Out.
I'm Pastor Flora Padilla of Mending Broken Hearts.
Welcome to Henry T. Game Face Live, Comcast 26, and Big Bad ProView Network.
The Sports Animal.
Well, Sebastian Noel started this, and my phone's been blowing up, and my email's going crazy on this centralized state football championship game. You and I are proponents of it. I've been a proponent of it forever. I think the state football championship should be one big, giant celebration at University Stadium. If you want to play it every third year in Las Cruces at Aggie Memorial, I can entertain that if there's enough hotels. I mean, honestly, look, this isn't because I live in Albuquerque, big city guy. The population center, the media center in the state is Albuquerque, New Mexico. There's a facility there, and you could have one big high school football celebration. You could go if you want to watch every game. You can. The kids can play in a Division I college stadium, and I think this is the way it's always been done thing is. I get people that want to change. They always used to do that. And I think they do this, and I don't know the answer, JJ. Somebody will let me know. It's always been done this way. Well, we're the 1 seed and you're the 7 seed, and we're playing in the state semifinal. And but the last time we played each other was 1970. We played at our place, so now we owe you the return. So we're playing on the road. So a team from the south is going to go all the way to the north to play on the field of the 7 seed, and they're the 1 seed. But that's the way it's always been done, Jeff. That makes sense too. Come on, man. Look, this could be a big celebration and just amplify high school football in our state. And maybe there's people who don't want that. Maybe there's people who just don't want high school football to be a big thing. I don't know. But you can't tell me it's a bigger thing to play it in a packed house in Eunice. It's a bigger thing for Eunice, and I understand that. But you can't tell me it's a bigger, better thing for the sport and for these student athletes than it would be to play it in a big deal at University Stadium.
And this is our every other week conversation because it is, you find out people are so passionate about it. And I think you hit on something when Rudy called in, and initially your reaction might be, oh, what? That can't be true. Absolutely, like, not centralizing your high school football only keeps it regionalized, only keeps it big in whatever city that is in. It doesn't hit the crossover effect. Because you think how big the state basketball tournament is, and it got there for a reason. People want to come to the pit. People show up to those games and will sit there for a few in the afternoon and just enjoy the atmosphere. The same exact thing would happen with football, and it would create an emphasis on the game. Because we sit here so many times and talk about this state, and the athletes aren't given the opportunities, and they feel overlooked. Well, it's because all you do is want to stay in your own city. And people try to get there, but if we're talking on a championship Saturday and there's games going on in different places, you're not going to be able to give the focus a title game deserves because it's kicking off at 1 o'clock, the same time it is in the other corner of the state. And if you're trying to watch it, which stream am I going to pick? Whereas you have a Friday and Saturday put together, you can highlight those games. And guess what? Whatever small city we're talking about, Lordsburg, Artesia, Eunice, you can show up. And then you can fly your flag in this town and go, this is what we are about. You think we're just a small city? We'll show you what a small city can do. It would change high school football in the state of New Mexico to re-emphasize the game, because I know it matters to so many people, but the most important games do not get the attention they deserve because y'all want to play at the same time in your cities.
And you would monetize it, and I know money's a big deal. It would generate a lot of revenue. No, not for the Dairy Queen and Eunice as much, but it would generate for the NMAA. But James says he couldn't disagree more. He says, Jeff, University Stadium has not hosted an NCAA championship. There is a video that CBS shows every March of Jim Valvano running around the field looking for someone to hug. University Stadium is not an iconic venue that folks want to play in. So what?
It's not about what you think. It's about that kid who – so you think the reason –
yeah,
all these high school basketball players want to play at the pit is because they see that 10-second clip of Jim Valvano running around?
No, it's the atmosphere in the pit, and that's the place in this state to play.
That's why a lot of us think about that building a certain way.
No, James, I would tell you, look around the country, and how many venues, they're not all iconic venues. So what? And make this a tradition. I just, if that's your reason, well, the pit's iconic and University Stadium's not. So what? Again, I would love a poll, and you know, for James, Yodis, and Sebastian who are against it. And I understand. I'm not angry at them. I just have a passionately different opinion. Then I'd love for them to do a poll.
I'd love to do a poll as well. All right, maybe I'll even ask one of the kids tonight that I'm seeing out there. I'd be like, so what's the most iconic thing that happened at the pit? And how many of these high school kids actually know about that? Not because they don't love basketball, they don't love the game, but how many of these high school kids know about Houston, NC State?
Yeah. And when it was, and have they ever seen it? I agree with you. Look, the pit isn't the pit to these kids because of Jim Valvano. It is to older people, but it's not to them. Mark says, hello, Jeff. Coach Danny got it done. Yeah, he did, as far as getting these games in there. John's in on University Stadium. He says, as a senior at Sandia High in 1976-77, the big school state championship game was played at University Stadium. The Mike Carter-led Matadors won their lone state championship in football, beating Mayfield 23-7. Jim Ottman was the head coach. The players loved playing the game at that venue rather than Wilson or Milne. And I'll bet they still talk about it. Again, this isn't for me or you necessarily. This is for the student athlete. This is for the growth of football in our state. Let me tell you this. You know what else would happen? The coverage would be through the roof. We used to do a half-hour special on the high school football state championship, and I guarantee you, Channel 4 would. I probably Channel 13 would. There'd be a half-hour special just on high school football that night, right? On all the games and all the coverage,
please.
Because it'd be all in one spot, JJ. It would. Why don't we do it for a couple of years? Not 1 year. Why don't we do it for 2-3 years and then say let's do it a 3 or 4 year trial, get a decent enough sample size, and then if it doesn't work, go back. It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Welcome to Local Focus with Sebastian Noel.
Welcome, sports fans. It's that time of the week again. You are watching the Weekly Rundown.
Hey, welcome to Red Menace TV here on ProView Network.
Hello, I'm Steve Davis. You are watching Public Access TV.
Long ball played, top of the 18. Morgan's there, one-on-one with the keeper, and that opens the scoring. Rachel Morgan, the senior, finds the back of the net, and it's 1-0 St. Mike's.
Oliveris for 3. Yes.
Oh, I like that young man.
Good transition opportunity for the Bulldogs. Deep three's up, and it's good by number 11, Annika Reed.
Rowe gets it, boots it forward. Myers is there. She's able to head it, and she controls. Dugan's there. She's at the center. She gets across, shoots, and scores! Hello! What can you say there? Hello! And that is Alexa Duggan, who goes across the body. Fair. Gonzalez going to get all the way to the basket here off the window with the extra kiss, and it's good for Gonzalez.
That ball played to the top of the 18. Morgan. Nice turn. Morgan, left-footed shot. Morgan! 3-0. And that is a brace for Rachel Morgan, the senior from St. Michael's.
Underneath for Alter, tries the slam and does it. So in 2. Here comes the pressure. Hasbury takes it away and sends it in.
Well, there's a top 10 play right there, I can tell you that.
The last-ditch effort for the Wildcats. They are cornered right now. That ball goal! It's the long goal from Contreras! Holy cow! Luke Contreras absolutely launched that ball. Contreras.
Kumar takes the shot, and that is it. We didn't make it an entire minute into this overtime before Oliver Kumar delivered the winning score. Look at those boys celebrate down there, dogpiling on top of number 6.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number one in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
DCE Systems want to help schools reopen and keep the students, teachers, and staff safe. We can also help every business reopen and keep their employees and customers safe as well. Don't just disinfect. Novalent antimicrobial technology provides ongoing residual protection against bacteria and viruses and is proven to last up to 90 days. That's right, up to 90 days. Call us today at 505-507-7722 or go to DCESystemsInc.com to learn more. DCE Systems are proud supporters of ProView Sports Network and New Mexico Youth Athletics.
Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspet.com.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs.
Wait into this. We're talking about the playing the football championships in a centralized location and growing high school football. And Lars says the NMA equals your game, Hefe. Every year you talk about the supposed economic impact of having North Texas or Marshall in your game. It's amazing how you pick and choose pieces of the argument. Well, for the Allsups in Eunice or the Super 8 in Portales, hosting the state finals is their New Mexico Bowl. And that's fine. I look back, Eunice has been in the state championship the last 5 years. They've had one and they played, they won 3 of them, been runner-up twice. They're 3-time defense, and it didn't tell me where the games were. So let's say they're 3 of the last 5, and that's great for the Allsups in Eunice, and that's wonderful. I mean, they can't count on that every year, but okay, I think that's great. And so is that the reason to not grow high school football in our state? Because the Allsups in Eunice counts on that day every other third year? I'm just asking. And by the way, Lars, did you see the game? Did you get to see any of Eunice play? I mean, they've been in the state championship 5 times in a row. They'd be fun to go out and watch, wouldn't they? Did you go? Or would you rather, it's the same day as the 5A game, and I wanted to see that. But I also, this game, or I couldn't get to you. I don't know. Did you see it?
Yeah, that's a bit of a stretch when you, as you said, start picking and choosing when you want to bring up, economic impact into the equation and try to throw a shot. And like, well, the New Mexico Bowl does this. No, this is about growing high school football in the state of New Mexico instead of keeping it just meaningful in said cities. Those cities would show up. And is it a change, and would there be some frustration? Okay. But it would magnify the sport. It would help grow football, and we would stop just hearing all the time, it's a basketball state. That's fine. You can love basketball. But football deserves a platform as well. High school athletes deserve that opportunity, not just because you've been doing it for 78 years and you like every year that one day to go get your dipped cone at Dairy Queen.
Yeah, and like Ed said, I mean, the visiting team probably rolled in and out the same day, and if they didn't, they stayed in Hobbs. Grady, good morning. How you living?
Dairy Queen destroyers. of the OD and the AM.
Right, 31 flavors up in here.
So, my guy Sebastian, I think secretly he does want the centralized championships, and let me explain to you why. So in the interview today, he talked about how a lot of those kids in Clovis want to be Lobos, how they're excited about how those local kids were recruited. So imagine if Clovis were to play a championship game at University Stadium, maybe a few more of those kids might be excited about the possibility, well, hey, you know what, I might try to come up here, or hey, you're playing here, this is a pretty good venue. That might actually lead to more excitement just in that one particular community. I'll give you another example. A few years ago when Pecos played Santa Fe High in basketball, Sebastian was talking about how J.B. White, his effect of being there. He said he called it the halo effect. There were a lot of college scouts there watching him play, and a lot of kids that otherwise would not have been seen by college scouts were seen. There were a couple of kids at Capitol High School that got some opportunities to play at the next level. So I can guarantee that certain college scouts, they probably won't take the drive, plug in the GPS, Eunice or Roy or even Robertson up in Las Vegas to go watch a championship game. However, if it's centralized in Albuquerque, a lot of those kids that would otherwise not have been seen probably will be seen due to the halo effect. Though they might be there to watch all the 5A kids, and all of a sudden there are a couple of 3, 4A kids that catch some attention just because those scouts are there for someone else. And lastly, on Sebastian's one of his shows, he had this kid, Kyle Julian, a guard from Magdalena, after the great Magdalena-Pecos basketball game. And he talked about how, hey, Kyle, didn't you feel pretty good about kids, the community in Albuquerque finally recognizing your game when they got to watch you play? And the kid said, yeah, I did. It made me feel good, to earn the respect. So now imagine a lot of other quality players, kids in small towns, if nothing else, being able to
out in one.
Respect. Oh, hey, you're that kid from Robinson, that running back. Hey, you're legit. You're all right. And just being able to build their own name, their own brand by being showcased at the media news outlet capital of the state. So I think that, maybe deep down inside, he really does support this because it sounds like he's making great arguments for it and not against it.
Good stuff, man. Thanks. All right, we can continue this conversation. That's not where I thought we were going today, but I'm happy to go there because I'll bang this drum all day. I just think it's right. Let's try it. Doesn't work, go back. Give it 4 years, though. Give it 5 years. Give it a fair enough sample size to make it work on the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610 Sports Animal.
Don't sacrifice.
Here at Legacy, we are here to disciple people by helping them connect with God, grow in relationships, and live generously.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Car Crafters is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
A rogue virus, no jobs, sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Datacom is the manufacturer's representative for the states of Arizona and New Mexico. Datacom represents Fuji Electric for uninterruptible power systems and Layer 0 for static switches and power distribution units. High-Tech Power Protection manufactures dynamic rotary UPS systems up to 3.6 megawatts, individual and 100 megawatts by combining multiple units. Call Louis Ruffin today at 505-507-7722 or go to datacom.com to learn more.
Turbo Threads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sport shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. Turbo Threads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for Turbo Threads.
Jackson Compaction wants to help you keep your green. And keep the community green as well. Jackson Compaction has worked hard to maintain the same prices since day one. Always easy and painless trash removal with professional crews and quality service. If it's non-hazardous waste, debris, or trash on your land, leave it to us. At Jackson Compaction, we're dedicated to ensuring the conservation of our environment. You trash it, we smash it. Jackson Compaction, we've earned a reputation for great results.
Next in line.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
At New Mexico Highlands University, you're more than a student, you're family. Whether you're taking courses in Las Vegas, Santa Fe, Rio Rancho, Albuquerque, or Farmington, you'll get that one-on-one attention to inspire you to reach your goals. Let New Mexico Highlands help take your passion and accelerate it into a career and fulfilling life path. Find out why New Mexico Highlands is the right choice for you. Log on to newmexicohighlands.com today.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, backed by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
The year Jeff Siembieda and J.J. Buck.
All right. This you put together a show and you have no idea where it's going to go. And I didn't know we're getting into the high school football championship argument conversation again. This John says Grady the legend is correct. Look what Rocky Long did with in-state talent. You know, Grady just brought up the piece on what would it do for in-state recruiting. You know, if college recruiters came to see the kid from
Cleveland,
pick your big school, Cleveland, Hobbs, whoever, they all be in one place. Would he stay and watch the 4A game, the 3? Maybe that kid from Eunice in the 3A game would get seen. Because probably not a kid that would never get seen before. Whoa, look at that. Damn, they're 12-1, and that left tackle's really good. Look at the speed on that. Like, maybe. Let me just tell you something. And I got nothing. I got a lot of love for the small towns in this state. I do. I spent a lot of time in Santa Rosa. When I was married, my wife's family, well, they're still there. But I spent a lot of time there. I've spent a lot of time in a number of small towns. I've got love for Pecos. I've got love for Eunice. I've got love. Look, but are we really going to hold up what can be better for the sport and for the student athletes because of the Allsups in Eunice, New Mexico? We're going to hold up this progress for the Dairy Queen in Elida. Like, is that what we're doing? I get it, and Aaron's right. Eunice has had the state championship there 19, 18, and 17. 2019, 2018, 2017. And I'm sure it was a huge day. But he said their crew went down. They didn't eat there. They didn't stay there. They didn't get gas there. They went down, did the game, and got out. I'm sure the people coming in from Capitan or Texaco, whoever they played, stopped at the Allsup and got a burrito. And I think that's great, and I'm all for it. But first of all, how often does that happen? Well, 3 years in a row, Jeff, for them. Okay. And before that, and is that what we're going to hold up the progress of what I think would be the advancement of football in this state? Because the Allsups in Lordsburg or Eunice is going to have a gigantic day theoretically once every 10 years? Come on, man.
No. I think there's been some really good points brought up, and I know it's something that we continue to talk about because we care about it. Other people care about it because they see the potential. And what is this about? Is this about economic impact, which is nice, or is it about bettering the sport itself and elevating high school football? Because if it's about elevating high school football, then you'd start thinking about getting it out of these cities, not to hurt those cities, but to elevate the teams and the players that we just don't know about. There's a lot of people that are working hard to try to cover these games and bring you the games. But the most important games should be easily viewed by everyone, and you shouldn't be picking and choosing which state championship you have to watch or want to see.
Yeah, as much as, like the email, well, Elida, the state championship game, did you see it? Could you get down there and watch it? Now, if it was here, everybody could come to a centralized location, make a weekend out of it, do some Christmas shopping, have a holiday, or you can come in and out in the same day if you want. Whatever you want to do, and you could sit there and probably watch 5 or 6 football games in one day if you want, and sit on your tuchus and love the Elida game and the Pecos game and the Cleveland game and the Mayfield game and the Del Norte game and the Farmington game and the Gallup. I mean, everybody from all over the state. Like you do with basketball. I just, somebody's got to point out the negative to me besides what it means to these little communities. And I am not by any means trying to downplay the importance to Artesia of football. Would a state championship ring any less if it was won in Albuquerque? Would it be celebrated less? And would the student athlete, and this is my belief, although it's not proven, but would the student athlete prefer that experience, have a better experience, have a more memorable experience to play and look up and see them on the big, the replay on the big board and just have that experience than playing another game in their home stadium? To me, I mean, at the college level, you play a bowl game. At the pro level, you play a Super Bowl. At most high school levels, you play in a bigger environment, and it's made to be a big deal. Like, with all due respect, and Aaron, you've been down there. The atmosphere at Eunice is great, but is it that different than a game against Texaco in October? For the student athlete, I understand there's more on the line, but is it that different than just another home game?
Actually, I was down in Elida, not in Eunice.
Okay.
But they packed in a lot of people for that game.
Yeah, I'm sure the atmosphere was wonderful. But those kids have rather played in University Stadium.
And this is a good time, too, maybe to get some anonymous coaches talking about it, how they feel. And I think it definitely is. It's different if you've been that coach, that high school that's been hosting those games. You're going to be like, why am I going to give this up right now? This is pretty nice for us. But yeah. I think if you try to take a step back, what does it mean for the game overall? And I thought there's been some points that we haven't necessarily addressed other than just a centralized championship. The elevating football to a different level. Grady's point on recruiting. It makes it easier to see the best teams and the better athletes in the state all in one place. And what kind of opportunity does that show up? Because it's easy to send your high school highlight tape to everyone. Look on social media. You'll see it. These kids are doing like crazy, just boom, here's my highlight tape. Here's my highlight tape. But the coaches are like, fantastic. What does your full game look like? And there's one opportunity on the biggest stage, and you're looking for it, right? We always say that the state isn't given the chances it deserves. These high school athletes need an opportunity. Well, here's an opportunity. We're trying to make the sport of football bigger and matter. And it is absolutely, as you said, worth it. Not just 1 year. Give it a couple years. See how it goes. See how the fans react. See how the city reacts. The travel and the coverage of these state championship games.
Yeah, get a sample size. Why is the state basketball tournament so big? You think it's because of that building? Because Jim Valvano danced around on that floor in 1983? Like, you think that's why that state basketball tournament is as big as it is? No, the venue's great. But the atmosphere that's been created over the years. You can put stuff in the building, but it's the people and the atmosphere that's around it. Ryan just sent me a text from Texas. He says, I'm back. Obviously a bigger state, but it's like 5 days here in Texas. And it's normally either in Arlington or Houston, and the metro area goes just to go. Because people love it. It's a big. I get it, man. It's not playing it in Jerry World. It's not playing it in is it Reliance Stadium where they call it in Houston now, NRG, whatever it is. It's the biggest venue in your state. If you want to do it in Las Cruces once every few years, do it down there if they've got enough hotels to handle everything down there, right? If the argument against it is simply because we've done it this way forever, and it means a lot to the small towns. See what it would mean to these small towns to play it at a big level. I've seen it firsthand in other states. I see what it means to the game. And JJ, I said this earlier. Maybe this isn't. I'm not wrong. I don't know. Maybe people don't care enough that it's just football. Like, this is a basketball state. Who cares? Maybe who cares about football? Let them do it. But the coverage that you would get, the buzz around it, I just think, I don't know. I'd like to see it tried. John says, University Stadium, half the teams are traveling anyway, so let's have the championship games here. I hope Sally is listening. And then Bruce said, sorry, Jeff, you're wrong. You aren't playing 5 to 6 games at Dream Style in December. It might be warm enough to squeeze 2 in one day. If the post time is first is 11 a.m. If you want them all, you need games at Community Millie. Why? They're playing night games, day. Like why? We can't play a game when it's chilly now?
Marty on the line.
Tell me why. You can only play 2 games. You've got to play at 11 and 2, and that's it.
No, you'd have a Friday afternoon, evening showcase, and then Saturday.
And especially if it's Thanksgiving weekend, you go Friday and Saturday. Make it a 2-day deal. Play 3 one day, 3 the next day, right? Is there 6 championship games? I'm looking at the thing here. You got 6A, 5A, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with 6 men. Make it a 2-day deal. Go Friday and Saturday. Boom, done. Celebrate, enjoy. I mean, it is what it is. All right, Marty, stay there. We're going to take this break. 505-246-0610 if you want to get in. 888-922-0610. Tons of emails. Jeff at sportsanimalabq.com, JJ at sportsanimalabq.com. Glad you're with us on ProView Networks in 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Plan your adventure at WNMU.edu.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Hayes. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Tucson, Arizona.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Greg Martinez. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Hi, I'm Marilena Fernandez. I'm with the New Mexico Army National Guard, and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
The New Mexico Army National Guard is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics.
Calling all football players, are you looking to develop your skills this season? It's never too late or too early to put in the work. Coach Carl Barrere and the Air Barrere program at 8 Grady's Performance Center provide comprehensive position training for aspiring football players at all levels. Whether you're looking to increase your speed, gain strength, or hone your skill, we train all positions with a team of experienced coaches who know what it takes to succeed at all levels from Yaffle to college. Check us out at 8gradys.com to learn more and sign up for training today.
Drive, Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck. Micah, Josh produces for you today over on the ProView Network side, where you can watch the show worldwide on ProViewNetworks.com or statewide at Comcast Channel 26.
Hey, welcome to the Steve Davis Show.
Good morning. Welcome to Sports Desk Live on Comcast Channel 26.
Welcome to The Point with Nick Rich.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 10, America Talking Out.
I'm Pastor Flora Padilla of Mending Broken Hearts.
Welcome to Henry T. Game Face Live, Comcast 26, and Big Bad ProView Network.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Welcome to Local Focus with Sebastian Noel.
Welcome, sports fans. It's that time of the week again. You are watching the Weekly Rundown.
Hey, welcome to Red Menace TV here on ProView Network.
Hello, I'm Steve Davis. You are watching Public Access TV.
Long ball played, top of the 18. Morgan's there, one-on-one with the keeper, and that opens the scoring. Rachel Morgan, the senior, finds the back of the net, and it's 1-0 St. Mike's.
Oliveris for 3.
And all kinds of reasons not to do stuff. You can always find a reason not to do it. Well, we've always done it this way, Jeff. I get it. I get it. Can we make it better? Well, it wouldn't be better. Why? Well, you can't. It's going to be cold. Okay. Yeah, it might be cold. All the reasons to not do stuff. Here's what I would propose. A trial. Don't commit to it, but a trial means more than 1 year. A trial, you got to have a good enough sample size. I would say commit to 4 to 5 years of doing this. Well, Jeff, then you'll never go back. Well, you might or you might not. If it doesn't work, then and you put it in, because for the way I understand it, the Unis School District has as much power at the NMAA, as many votes as APS, right? 1. So each school district will have their vote. And let's see if it works. Let's see if the student-athlete experience is what we think it will be. Look, year 1's going to be weird and wonky but fun, and then you're going to get better. And if it grows the sport and if it's better, that's great, and then continue to do it. If it doesn't, you know what? Let's go back and get me a cookie dough blizzard at Dairy Queen in Eunice. That's got to be the. Is there even a damn Dairy Queen in Eunice? Is there one?
You need to fact check that.
Yeah. Marty, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Hello, Marty.
Hey, guys. I've always felt they should use both NMSU and UNM for these high school finals.
Okay.
I think they could alternate it. You got the Pan Am, you got Aggie Stadium, you got University. I think they can alternate it. It gives those teams down south at least maybe every other year, every other couple of years, it gives them a chance to feel like they've got home field advantage. Vice versa, the teams up here, because I know I always thought it was a little wacky where, you got to play the final at my house, or there was always that weird rule. No, this year it's down there. You can keep track
we played
of that. Just a thought. I've always felt like both venues are underutilized, so they're both are big, D1 schools. So why not incorporate both just to give the kids a sense of home field advantage?
Yeah, I think the one issue down there is do they have enough hotel space, to be able to house and put up as many people as would go down there. You've got enough hotel rooms in the Albuquerque area. Would you have enough hospitality hotel space down at
Jeff,
Cruces?
I think Las Cruces, really, it's one community. I mean, you got El Paso, the west side. I think it's just one.
I don't want to give the business to El Paso.
Las Cruces, so it's only 35 miles away. I don't think that's a big issue. I really don't. But just a thought.
Yeah, it's a fair thought. And Marty, thanks. I don't have a problem with sharing it. Does it have to be?
I have a problem with giving it to Texas.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would. Here's another thing. What about the exposure? So ProView would do every game, right? Let's assume. They've got a partnership with Channel 13. Channel 13 puts on that Friday night game. Channel 13 also runs Channel 19 and Channel 50. Can't you see the scenario where one of those, 19 or 50, My TV, or what are they both called? Whatever they are, would run all 6 high school or 7 high school championship games throughout the state and televise them? Don't you think the exposure?
Don't know if you'd be able to get it to that.
Wayne's on the line.
If you can monetize it, you sure as hell would. If it makes money,
makes more money, yes.
And I don't know. I'm sure Seinfeld reruns make a lot of money, but wouldn't one day of super high school football coverage, and all the people around the state who could sponsor that, and in Roswell and Artesia, you could do your game and have presence in your game, and right? I think it would make a lot of money, and money tends to kind of dictate things. I don't know. I start thinking where it could go. Who'd you just tell me, Bob? I know you told me something.
Wayne.
All right, let's go there. Good morning, Wayne. How you living?
I'm living okay. Hey, I'm very interested in this a wedge issue topic that you are chewing on today. I do have to say that nobody from a small town across New Mexico, a strong football town, would see your arguments, Jeff, as absolutely convincing. I kind of lean on the other side of the wedge. I do think that team rankings and home field advantage is a stronger argument than you give it, and something earned. I think that UNM Stadium, unfortunately, has become less iconic than you make it out to be since Rocky Long's tenure. I haven't really felt a deep amount of excitement in that venue since maybe Skip Heitzig led a sunrise service to 20,000 people. So I guess I just want to say, let's not plow up the Field of Dreams.
All right. I mean, I'm not making it out to be an iconic venue by any means. I'm making it out to be the biggest venue in the state, and I think that student athletes, it'd be the place that you could hold a big celebration of college football. And I don't think it's got to be an iconic venue like the Pit to have an event like this of this magnitude that would benefit high school football.
Well, either way, I think that we all agree that we want to celebrate it, make it special for the kids, and, give it the value it deserves. But, I'm not convinced that holding these large events needs to take place in Albuquerque at the largest, arena. I think it's more fun to have an event at a smaller arena that's full than a larger one that's 3/4 empty. That's just where I weigh in on it, but I appreciate the topic. I do see your arguments. They're not bad. I just kind of lean the other way.
I appreciate you. Thanks, man. And I'm okay with people.
But you're not maximizing the game then. You can't just sit there and say this is, you don't want to mess with. So by the way, so home field advantage only matters for football. You don't care that none of these state tournament games are played.
Baseball, basketball, soccer, anything else. Yeah.
Like this year, it's different. But usually, once you get to the state basketball tournament, you're at Bernalillo, you're at the Star Center, and then you're going in the Pit. But football, home field. It's got to be home field advantage all the way through. And you're not maximizing the game. How many Artesia games have you been to, Wayne? Maybe you've been to a couple. How many Eunice, Jal, Elida, whatever it may be, games you go to? It's nice for those cities. But the student athletes, the sport of high school football, you're maximizing it by putting the most eyes on it at a Division I football stadium. I don't care about the history of the stadium. It's about the amenities and the ability to play there, whether it's there or in Las Cruces. However you wanted to make this work out, that matters to these kids. That matters. Just look at some of the quotes they had, and they weren't playing a state title game at University Stadium last week. I've just, to Wayne's point, it's like, well, you're not really swaying me. We're not swaying me just because you're saying it's about the city. You're not talking about the student athletes. You're talking about the experience for everyone else, not the kids.
Why is football the only sport the NMA doesn't centralize? Why don't they play home matches for soccer? Why don't they do, well, it's a tournament. And I think the answer would be you're playing consecutive days, and so the travel, I think that might be the answer. But everything else is centralized.
And it's just the one game. Like, you can have your semifinals. You have your playoffs at home. Now, it's not the same magnitude as we've addressed, but are we helping high school athletics, specifically football, rise to a level that people complain that it's not at? How many people, this quarterback over here gets overlooked. This quarterback over there isn't getting the opportunity. Well, why not put him on the biggest stage?
Let's try it.
Why not see what happens?
Yeah. To Wayne's point, let's try it. Let's give it a 5-year run. If it doesn't work, let's go back to how it is. And if it does, you could have something special. By the way, I don't believe there's a Dairy Queen in Eunice. There's a Dairy Freeze in Eunice. Dairy Freeze. Something very, very different. And I've got reviews on it if you want. Hello, Jeffrey. How you doing? You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline.
I'm good. Just launched my first historical novel, Toro, the Naked Bull, separate topic. I don't really have an agenda regarding high school football. I really don't care one way or the other. But if you all think it's a good idea, why not do it? I've been here all my life. The Condolatias got here in 1620 or something. One of the most annoying things that's bothered me about this state is this whole, if I build a tramway, I'm going to lose my revenue at my little restaurant on Fontebow. If we build a pit, it's going to affect Johnson Jim's hot dog sales. I mean, it's astounding that 60 years ago someone had the vision to build a damn pit, or in 1966 someone had the vision to build the tramway, the North America's longest tram. The city has this scarcity, provincial, insular mentality that if you do something grand, it's somehow a bad thing for, someone else. The leadership and lack of vision in this state is astounding, and it's annoying, and I say that unapologetically and out loud. And I fight it all the time, and I got criticized for it. If you all think it's a good idea, do it, and don't apologize for it. And if the little hot dog stand in Eunice, New Mexico is upset, who cares? Do what's right. Overcome fear and do the right thing. Build with vision and leadership. And that's what greatness is all about. And I don't even care one way or the other about this particular issue. But if you all think it's a good idea because you have a great more deal of expertise in this purview, just do it and don't apologize for it. I applaud that. Thank you.
Thank you. I got another, here's why it can't happen. And what's the right weekend? Would it be Thanksgiving weekend? That's usually the final week of the regular season for Lobos. Would it be the weekend after? Gosh, what if the Lobos host the conference championship game? I guess you could do it the weekend after that, right? Between the end of the regular season and the New Mexico Bowl. You could find the time to do it. Like we can schedule this, and maybe that's the weekend. Maybe it's the weekend after the regular season, Mountain West, and before the New Mexico Bowl. Hondo says it's not happening Thanksgiving weekend, Jeff. Nobody wants to play at home Thanksgiving weekend because attendance is universally lousy. That's why Lobo football's gotten stuck with games that weekend on Branch Field as long as I can remember. If you're going to turn over that venue to the NMA for the weekend, Danny and Eddie would have to convince the Mountain West to schedule them on the road and have some other Mountain West program take the attendance hit. Yeah, look, about the scheduling piece, you got to work out. We're really talking the theory on this whole thing. And maybe the answer is, well, then it's too cold, Jeff. It's going to be cold in Eunice too, by the way. It's going to be cold in Artesia, right? You can give me a million reasons why it won't work. That's fine. That's fine.
And actually, like that idea that you just brought up, pushing it back a little bit, because you wrap up your season, you're into the playoffs, and if you give a bit of a buffer, then it would allow families, schools to plan for their trip to Las Cruces or Albuquerque for a state championship.
Let me intercept the next email and it's going to tell you why your plan doesn't work. Well, what about basketball? These kids go play basketball, and the basketball coaches are going to be angry that they're going to lose their star players, especially in these small schools where they all go over and play basketball, and it's going to hurt the you can give me a million reasons why you can't do it, and that's why stuff doesn't get done. That's why we haven't built an arena in this market, and I've been here for 25 years. We've been talking about it. There's always a reason why it can't get done. As a governor once told me, I'm tired of hearing why things flipping can't get done or bleeping can't get done. Go show me why things can happen. Take a chance. Like Jeffrey said, if it does, like tell me what the harm is in trying it. Let's say we plan it out and say we're going to give it a 3 to 5 year run. Trial. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if it does, you could have something really, really special. We're back to the phones when we get back at 505-246-0610. Hey, years ago, I made a choice to protect what's important to me, my home. I really had no desire to wait until something bad happened, until I got broken into, to call IPS, and I'm glad I did. International Protective Service watches my home. They are security. They're by my house every single day, and if I go away, I let them know, and they give it extra love. They pick up the newspaper if I have a newspaper, or pick up mail if I want them to. If there's a package that's left, they get that. The garbage day, they roll the cans to the curb and back. Look, IPS is legit and invested in this market. And then there's a chance you signed up for security with a local company who promised you armed response. They've now been bought and sold twice, and your security is in the hands of a company from Texas, and you didn't sign up for that. You don't have to have that. Call IPS and make the switch. Aaron Jones is from Albuquerque. He is not going anywhere. He's passionate about protection for your home, for your family, and that business that you've worked so hard to build. IPS is highly trained armed guards. They watch what's important to you when you can't be there. 24-hour patrols and armed officers who respond typically to home alarms within 5 to 7 minutes. Trust your protection to a local company who's passionate about making our city a safer place to live and work. It's IPS. 505-897-2420 is the number. 505-897-2420, or visit them at ipsglobal.com.
I like that young man.
Good transition opportunity for the Bulldogs. Deep three's up, and it's good by number 11, Annika Reed.
Rowe gets it, boots it forward. Myers is there. She's able to head it, and she can throw. Dugan's there. She's at the center. Gets across, shoots, and scores! Hello! What can you say there? Hello! And that is Alexa Duggan, who goes across the body.
There. Gonzalez going to get all the way to the basket here off the window with the extra kiss, and it's good for Gonzalez.
That ball played to the top of the 18. Morgan. Nice turn. Morgan, left-footed shot. Morgan! 3-0. And that is a brace for Rachel Morgan, the senior from St. Michael's.
Underneath for Alter. Tries the slam and does it. So in two...
Comes the pressure. Hasbury takes it away and sends it in.
Well, there's a top 10 play right there, I can tell you that.
The last-ditch effort for the Wildcats. They are cornered right now.
That ball goal! It's the long goal from Contreras! Holy cow! Luke Contreras absolutely launched that ball. Contreras. Manifold. And Kumar takes the shot, and that is it.
We didn't make it an entire minute into this overtime before Oliver Kumar delivered the winning score. Look at those boys celebrate down there, dogpiling on top of number 6.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number one in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own.
All right, JJ is wrong. I'll wait till he gets back, and I'll explain to him why he's wrong. 505-246-0610. That's from Hondo. Hondo's busy this morning. It ain't happening. Not happening. Here's why. All right. You can always tell me why stuff can't happen. There's always a reason why it can't. Harry, where are you on this whole thing? Good morning, Harry.
He dropped.
Oh, he held that whole time until I went to him? All that time until I went.
Cell phone
dropped. All right, Harry, call us back. The whole thing right to it. All right, it's boy, you put together a whole show, and you have no idea where you're going to go in this, where we go. Hondo said JJ is wrong, Jeff. The problem with pushing back the football finals, here we go, is the basketball coach or the wrestling coach is already antsy, especially at these smaller schools, for football season to end so he can get those two-way athletes in his uniform. Now tell him they're going to be tied up for another 2 weeks and there's going to be punches thrown. See? I wrote that for you before he sent it, didn't I?
Yes, you did. And in a normal season, you'd hope it wouldn't have that big of an effect, given the fact you're playing all your games, and then you have your district play, etc. So if you miss 1 or 2 games early in the season, that's unfortunate. But is it about the athlete or about that specific coach? And unfortunately, a lot of coaches will make it about themselves.
So I think really in all of this conversation, and it's great for Dairy Freeze in Eunice, or Allsups in Artesia, and I get it. Okay. And I'm not downplaying any of that. All that's legit. But whenever you make a decision, you weigh the pros and cons. Mm-hmm. And you're taking a risk and you make a decision and you see what happens. You make the best decision you can. For whom are we doing this?
Doesn't sound like there's been a lot of, right? It doesn't sound like there's been a lot of these people that are chiming in on the other side that have brought up anything about the student athlete. It's about the coach that is going to be upset not having his guy, or that hot dog stand on the corner. Well, you know what? Figure out what license you need, mobilize it, and park out in the university, like outside University Stadium. Like, it doesn't feel like there's been a lot of answers why it's best for the student athlete. It's been about the town. It's been about the coaches. About the other coaches needing these players. What about the kid playing in the championship game? Because we're talking about 2 teams that get there. It's not an entire district. It's not the entire state. But we're acting like it's going to throw off absolutely everything for the 2 teams that will play a championship game.
And yet almost every other state in the union can do it. Oh, wait, it sounds like COVID. Harry, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Hello, Harry.
Hey, guys. How you guys doing? Hey, I think you guys hit it spot on, right on the head. You know, it's the students. I bet you if you ask the student athletes where do they want to play, they're going to want to play at University Stadium, period. Yep. They want to play in the biggest venue that they can on their last game of whatever year that is. You know, they're not going to want to play at their home stadium. You know, I think they want to play in the biggest venue. And like you said, I would think that all the television networks that are here would somehow put them on Comcast or what have you for the people that are back home to be able to watch it anyway. I agree with your idea, Jeff, 100%.
Thank you, Harry. Appreciate you. Thanks for calling. Why can everybody else do it and we can't? I got it. Well, we can't do it because the basketball season starts. We can't do it because it's going to be too cold. We can't do it because the Dairy Freeze in Eunice is going to go broke. We can't do it because kids have to.
Shout out to Eunice, by the way. Most publicity they've gotten in a long time this morning on the opening.
On our show, anyway.
Check out Eunice.
On our show. I can't wait to go to that Dairy Freeze. I was looking at the reviews of that Dairy Freeze, too. David, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Hello, David.
Hello. It seems like you're dismissing reasons why people say they can't do it, Jeff. Ultimately, they give you a reason, and you say, well, that's not good. We can do this. And in a parallel that seems
but that's not right. That's not right.
Relevant. Huh?
That's not true.
The scheduling is probably the biggest issue. You're suggesting people travel on Thanksgiving weekend?
No, because nobody ever does that.
The time of the day of the game, it's cold. They have one game in the area to pick their warmest time. They're giving you plenty of reasons why, and you selectively say, well, that's not the case. The bottom line to it is they're giving you plenty of reasons why it wouldn't work.
There's always a reason, and I'm giving reasons why it would.
Push it.
No, my agenda is to push it. I'm not hiding my agenda. My agenda is to push it, and you can give me a million reasons why, and I'll give you a reason, why on the other side. Like I'm not telling you it's easy.
Okay. My basic reason for calling is: imagine the agenda is to get rid of the bowl games to then put in a playoff system. JJ pushes the playoff system. You push the bowl thing. So say the agenda is to get rid of the bowl games because it's to their financial advantage to then run the playoffs, which everybody who pushes the 8 to 16 game playoff pushes. And what does the bowl happen? The bowls go away.
That's right.
So both
have an agenda. There is that argument. And that's a conversation that is happening yesterday, today, and will happen tomorrow. So let me ask you this. Tell me what I've said that's wrong. And what do you think when I say, what would be best for the student athlete? I mean, tell me where I'm wrong. You're right. The scheduling is a hurdle. I'm not telling you it's easy. Anytime you do something, David, anytime you change, there is challenge. There's this issue. Well, this isn't perfect. There's pros and cons. So weigh the pros and cons. That's what I'm saying. To me, the pros outweigh the cons of making this change. I think it would be beneficial to the student athlete. I'm not arguing with you that scheduling is a challenge. I don't know that I think Thanksgiving's the best time, the week after, or 2 weeks after. Weather's an issue. Weather's going to be an issue. Look today. It was cold and windy yesterday in April. Like weather in New Mexico is always an issue. I'm not telling these people that they're wrong. I'm telling you that we can always come up with reasons why stuff can't change. And to your point, you're right. I want to see this happen. And I'm suggesting let's try it for a few years and see if it works.
Well, to that point, last thing, it was cold and windy when ultimately whoever was playing in San Diego, like the Padres or whatever, were playing in San Diego. The same area, Southern California, that not surprisingly, the Pac-12 tournament used to be in Los Angeles. For financial reasons, what do you think they'd move the Pac-12 tournament to? Las Vegas, because it's to the benefit of the promoters, not the athletes. The athletes don't care where they're playing. It's to the advantage of the promoters.
Do you really believe the athletes don't care where they're playing? As a small high school field somewhere or a bigger stadium on a big stage?
Do you think Urlacher cared one way, whatever, if he was playing his championship game or ultimately the guy from Artesia who went to the Steelers or Gentry? Do you think they really cared where they were playing? They were all blue-chip players, and ultimately Urlacher didn't get the scholarship to Texas Tech because he was too skinny. The only reason he ended up at UNM is because he didn't get his preferred scholarship at the one selective school, Texas Tech. And then he grew in size, and then he got good under Rocky Long's.
What does that have to do with state championship?
What does that have to do with the state? Like, did he care? Yeah, he'd want to play the state championship. If he had a choice, would he play it? And is it about Urlacher, or is it about the 99.5% of the other kids who that's going to be the pinnacle of their football playing career?
It does matter because your argument is recruitment profile of players so they get exposure. Every blue-chip player from Alan Branch to Urlacher to Landry Jones to Gentry, they got the exposure. They had no problem getting the exposure, meaning your argument is it's going to elevate the profile of the players.
How would it not?
Guy at Cleveland that went to UNM who flamed out as whatever. The blue-chip players don't have any problem getting that exposure.
All right, and appreciate it because we got to go to break. And David, thank you. But what about the other kids? Like I get it. You're on the other side of it. So, yeah, I have an agenda. I'd like to see it happen. Obviously, you do too. JJ, you've got something to say.
I do have something to say. As we try to figure out what to do with the centralized state championship game, what is better? Have you thought about what's better for you? And that is your fitness, because it impacts what you do on a daily basis. Life is crazy. Whether you're arguing about state championship games or you're working, then you're coming home with the family, you got young kids, you got a lot of work to do, and they're like, oh, by the way, when and where am I going to work out? Well, F45 functional training changes that by giving you a high-intensity training in a 45-minute class all in one place. So take control of your fitness now. Check out F45training.com. Download the F45 app. The app has the week's schedule of classes, what class you're going to be able to do, and with classes 7 days a week, you're going to be able to find one that fits into your schedule, and you'll face a new challenge every day. With me, I'm busy. Got a game on deck tonight. Got a 2-year-old running around. So it's hard to find that time, but with classes available 7 days a week, Saturday and Sunday come in clutch, and going to those classes, it does help me focus during the week on being good, limiting my intake of that sugar stuff, focusing on getting a home workout in, knowing I'll be back at F45, and I don't want to be feeling terrible when I go back there during the weekend. So F45 has certified trainers at every class to help motivate and modify. The atmosphere is great, and with no wasted time, you're going to have your full focus on that 45-minute workout. You can do it, and F45 is the place for your full body functional workout. So check them out at F45training.com. Download the F45 app. Check out the classes. Sign up for your 7-day free trial. Team training, life-changing. I'll see you at F45.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number one in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
DCE Systems want to help schools reopen and keep the students, teachers, and staff safe. We can also help every business reopen and keep their employees and customers safe as well. Don't just disinfect. Novalent antimicrobial technology provides ongoing residual protection against bacteria and viruses and is proven to last up to 90 days. That's right, up to 90 days. Call us today at 505-507-7722 or go to DCESystemsInc.com to learn more. DCE Systems are proud supporters of ProView Sports Network and New Mexico Youth Athletics.
Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend. Visit clarkspet.com.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Here at Legacy, we are here to disciple people by helping them connect with God, grow in relationships, and live generously.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Car Crafters is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
A rogue virus, no jobs, sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Datacom is the manufacturer's representative for the states of Arizona and New Mexico.
Datacom represents Fuji Electric for uninterruptible power systems and Layer 0 for static switches and power distribution units. High-Tech Power Protection manufactures dynamic rotary UPS systems up to 3.6 megawatts, individual and 100 megawatts by combining multiple units. Call Louis Ruffin today at 505-507-7722 or go to datacom.com to learn more.
TurboThreads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sports shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. TurboThreads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for TurboThreads.
Jackson Compaction wants to help you keep your 95.9 FM and AM 610, the sports animal.
So when you're having a conversation with opposing views, and you can call it a debate, if you want to call it an argument, I mean, whatever you want. If you've got a position, which I certainly do, and JJ does, and somebody comes in with a countering opinion, I'm not dismissing it. I'm having the conversation, and like you don't squash ideas because, well, there's one hurdle. You can't do it because of weather, or you can't do it because of scheduling, look, nothing's easy, JJ, and I've acknowledged all of the things that David said. You've just dismissed, and I get it. David's smarter than all of us, and he only calls in because he always tells me that I'm dismissive and disagree with it, everybody, and that I'm wrong, and that's fine. I appreciate his point of view, and I respect it. And obviously, he doesn't respect mine, which is fine. But yet, he still listens, which I appreciate. But I mean, you had a feeling on that call too, I know.
Well, we're pushing back. We're going back and forth. We both believe this would benefit the student athlete, and I've heard a lot from the other side that has nothing to do with the student athlete. I've heard about the city. She has fans and friends and family matter, and attendance. I've heard a lot about weather. When did weather become an issue with football? When did y'all become soft out there? How about that? I'll call y'all soft if you bring up weather, right? I thought it was supposed to be my generation and the younger kids that can't handle it. And we're talking about cold. Isn't football supposed to be played in snow? Isn't football supposed to be played on the frozen tundra? And now y'all talking about weather?
Not really. No.
I've heard a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with the student athlete. I've heard other coaches would be upset. Yes, scheduling is a challenge. So all these other states can figure it out, and yet us, we're like, oh, no, sorry. The small schools in other states can play their championship games at one place, but New Mexico, nope. We got to get right back to making sure the wrestling coach and basketball coach is happy. It's about the student athlete. If there are multiple sport athlete, give them the best opportunity. And when he brought up, I got a little lost when he brought up about the blue chip recruits. We're not talking about just the blue chip recruits. It's about every player on that football team getting exposure that they wouldn't get normally. Of course, a blue chipper is going to get a bunch, and it's nice that you have to go back to Alan Branch and Brian Urlacher, and it shows you the challenge. So why not give those athletes a better chance to be seen in one place, eyes on the biggest game? Again, the weather thing, and just the high school kids do care. Like, we've had a lot of opinion about the people showing up to it, but the kids themselves, they absolutely care where they're playing a state title game. Because you can't sit here on one hand and tell me how important it is to go to the pit, and then all that building means this and that, and then just dismiss University Stadium because there wasn't a championship game played there. Look at how those kids felt in a non-championship game just a couple weekends ago.
John, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Hi, John.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. And I think you covered what I was going to say. I've been in and out of the conversation. But, if you're a college recruiter, wouldn't you rather go spend one Saturday or one Friday in one location and see 5 or 6 different games, and you might find a diamond in the rough. I mean, these college recruiters, they know how to find the athletes, right? They hopefully they know how to find the athletes. Plus, nobody's ever complained about driving to Albuquerque to watch the high school basketball tournament, and they come from all over the state,
And for multiple days. And for multiple days.
So, and then on JJ's point about the weather, I heard they're going to move the balloon fiesta to July, so it's not so cold in the mornings.
Yep. We should stop all the spring stuff too. All right, John. Appreciate the call.
Hey, you guys have a good day. Thank you.
Weather here's tough, man. I got an email this morning. Actually, I didn't even get to it because it was early this morning, but it was about the weather and what the hell's going on gosh, there's just so many emails I didn't get to today. But it's at 34 flipping degrees, Jeff. And in the days before global warming, my father drug little Garcia up on the roof every April to turn on the swamp cooler. I haven't even thought about using the AC this month. I'm still using the heat 5 to 6 days a week, or hours a day. I'm not diminishing any of the issues. The multi-sports athlete, the small town stuff, the tradition, the weather, the scheduling. Okay. Can we at the level have a conversation and then what are the benefits? Put all the benefits that we've talked about and then weigh it. And if the reason you're not doing it is because Dairy Freeze in Eunice has a big day, I think you're putting the better good, the overall good, the good of the group, secondary. Would it benefit the student athlete? Would it benefit the performance? Not the performance. Would it benefit the sport? And then try it. See if it works. But to your point, I mean, it seems like it's a big deal everywhere else. I understand all of the reasons on the other side. David said, Jeff, you continue to minimize the importance of the state basketball tournament being held in the pit and what that means to high school players to be able to run down the ramp and compete in that building. You guys keep joking that none of those kids these days would even know that the national championship was played there. And that may be true, but it also shows how important playing in that place is to high school kids, even though that they may not know that NC State won the NCAA title almost 20 years ago. I was in Las Cruces once as a spectator and twice as a coach when the tournament was held at the Pan Am. And even though it's a great building itself, the feel of the tournament, the excitement overall was really lacking compared to this year's, to the years that it's at the pit. That wasn't my opinion. That was what I heard from our players and the other coaches relating how their players felt about not getting to play at the pit. And attendance was much lower, so it didn't work from a revenue standpoint. As for football, I think it would be fun for it to be held at University Stadium, but that doesn't compare to the opportunity you play at the pit. You and JJ need to get on the NMAA board of directors and plead your case. You guys are preaching to the choir. Just be careful not to make too many sarcastic jokes about the small businesses in their community. People from Las Cruces will not want to come to Albuquerque to watch Cruces and Mayfield play here in the championship game when they have a perfectly good stadium in their city. Basketball is different because fans are here for a 5-day tournament with more that 80 games to try to watch, more than 80 games to try and watch. I don't want to minimize the pit, and if it's come across that way, I apologize. That place is special, and so is the building itself different than the building itself at University? I mean, yes. Would the experience be different? It would be. You don't build tradition in a day. You don't build tradition in a year. You've got a lot of years of history in that building. Kids grew up wanting to play in the pit. It would take a minute to get there, but you got to start somewhere. I don't know. I mean, does a kid from Santa? Maybe they do. Do you grow up saying I can't wait to play?
And you're right. The pit. I'm not trying to minimize that building. We made a lot of comments this morning because we're passionate about this, and it resonates. And I love the fact it does resonate because people care about high school athletics. And the more and more I'm around it, the more and more I get to work these games, I see it continue to grow, and my passion grows. And I think that we are absolutely missing something on the football side that can be magnified and help this state overall. And I do think that, as we move on, I'll start reaching out, and maybe we can get some of these coaches on. We'll talk to these small city coaches, quote unquote small city, and just their feelings on it moving forward, how it affects everything, because I think there's an opportunity for high school football to take another step in the state, and it starts with that championship game, in that championship Saturday and or Friday or 2 days, that window. So yeah, I want to hear from these coaches too in these other cities and see what they have to say.
I wonder if you went backwards, and Texas might not be fair because they play in the Cowboys Stadium, and so it goes to the venue. But if you took just take a state, I don't know, pick one. I mean, North Dakota, Nebraska, Ohio. I mean, everybody's got some sort of a football venue, right? But if you say, you know what, we're not going to play the big one-day thing. Everybody's going to play. You're going to play high school championship games at Pendleton, Oregon, or you're going to play in Lincoln, Nebraska, or wherever. You can play at your home fields. How would that be received? Would it be considered better? All I'm saying is just consider it. I've seen it work, and I do think it would benefit high school football. I think it would benefit the student athlete. All of your reasons, David, you're right. You lost me on the blue chip thing, but other than that, you're right. Weather, scheduling, multi-sport, they're all legitimate issues to work through. All of it. And if I came across as downplaying, that wasn't my point. You can always come up with a reason why something can't be done. I think those are things you can work around. How do you work around weather, Jeff? Well, you don't work around weather. And there have been plenty of games now over the years that I've watched high school championship games been played in snow. A night game in University Stadium in December would be tough. Yeah, I've told you about the Kingdom. It was a controlled climate environment, and so it worked a lot better there. It was different. I understand apples to grapes. The concept of it, to me, makes tons of sense and would benefit bottom line, which is the student athlete. That's all. I mean, is that a memory? Would a tradition be built overnight? No. We would start something special. But within 10, 15 years, I think it'd be something really, really cool. I think within 2 years, it would be something really, really cool. The exposure would be great. The event could be a big celebration. That's all. It works. Why not? Why can't it work here? I got the reasons why.
Music out in one.
The individual reasons. But overall, do the pros outweigh the cons? My feeling is yes. If you hate me for that, David, hate me for it. Thanks to Richard Patino. He was with us today, as was Sebastian Noel, who threw this flamethrower. Jim Rome Show is next. The Herd with Colin Cowards after that. Trulio and Carlisle with the Sports Bar at 4. We're back with award-winning radio for you at 7 a.m. Aaron, Bob, thank you. Great work always. JJ, have a good call tonight. You got a good one.
Have a day.
Be good to each other, please. Be kind, loving, caring, and sharing. We'll see you tomorrow.